You will be
All
mine.
right, all right, all right. Okay, my good people, we are back for another one live in the Counselor's Corner, another open court discussion. I am your host, David Lorenzo Glover, aka the Controversial Counselor. Joining me is my co host, the Big Bad Wolf, Herb Lewis.
Oh,
He might be on one tonight. By now, you know what to do if you want to join the panel. Stop being shy, challenge yourself to do more, and do better. Okay, tonight, March 25th, 9 p.m., our topic of discussion will be why don't some men and women dress and act their age? Ooh, that's deep. That's deep because people, I know what y'all thinking. Ain't nobody could tell me how the fuck to dress, and who is to say the way I act is it, I guess, mature enough? This topic is right on time with some of the posts I have come across regarding fits. Um, so what's dressing your age and acting your age to begin with? But here are a couple of reasons people go against that notion of dressing and acting their age. Number one, dressing for comfort. They dress for comfort and based on that particular situation or environment they're in. Two, style showcases personality traits, which transcends age. Three, people may wear what is trending to fit in with society. So okay, now I have the conversation started. Feel free to dive in the chat. Um, Give us your thoughts on this subject matter. Please like and share the video, and please continue to let friends, family, and coworkers to know to subscribe to the YouTube channel, The Controversial Counselor. Sitting at 857 subs, so trying to break down those 800s to get to 900. Then once we get to 900, we'll be at that one level for monetization. Trying to get to 1,000 subs. So here we are. We're here tonight. So we it's a very interesting conversation based on well, I don't even want to dive into it. Any what's going on, Herb?
man, I got no complaints. Well, actually, I got a mild complaint, and I'll address that in a moment. But it was about 60 degrees today. The weather's breaking. I'm hoping Mother Nature take her stubborn, cold attitude ass home, because we don't need that mess anymore. It's getting towards April. The eclipse is coming. I want good weather for it. So, other than that, I got no complaints other than to address people who smoke marijuana. I know in New York State it's legal. I don't know what state most of you guys are viewing this from, but I do want to say this. If you're going to smoke marijuana, cigarettes, or you're going to vape, and you're in a state that is a non smoking public state, do the people who do not smoke a favor and adhere to the distance that you're supposed to imbibe away from the door. There's no way in the world that I, at my job, which is about 50 feet from the main entrance, should have to get high with you. That's inconsiderate, it's selfish, and if I didn't think I would have gotten in trouble, I'd have reamed some people out Saturday night. I didn't because I allowed, you know, decorum to take over. But people, come on. Just because you smoke don't mean you have to be, discourteous to people that don't. So please, take that shit some motherfucking where else. That's all I got to say about that.
Like I got a couple things. First, chime in on that. Well, I could say they don't give a damn, and they come pick up their kids high as hell, reeking weed, hell, sometimes alcohol. So, and I'm like, it is too early for that. But I guess people, that's their recreation, that's their medication, that's their peace of mind. So they say, hey, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna pick up my kid, and whoever don't like it, too damn bad. And you know, for me, and I guess people may have an attitude like I don't give a damn. I don't know none of these people like that, but I always feel like as as the parent title, you want to come in, you're representing your child because that's their environment. So you don't want to come by reeking weed and alcohol, and other kids be like, man, your dad or mom was high as hell when they came to pick you up, and it just have continuous jokes throughout. Because it could be weed, but next thing you know, these kids will flip it and say they smelled like crack or whatever
Mm-hmm.
the case is. So just got to be mindful of that. And second, shout out to the Buffalo Extreme. They went down against Binghamton this past Saturday. You know, I've been following them throughout. My nephew and cousin play on the team, so I attended quite a few games, attended the playoff games, and you know, you hate to see a team that you're connected with your heart and emotions go down. But it was no excuses to be made. But I just never seen a team get 9 technicals
Yeah, that's
throughout
a
the
lot, man.
game.
I saw that. I said that had to have been some shoddy officiating, man.
Yeah, that just don't add up. And as an official, and you know it's a playoff game, sometimes you're just going to ignore stuff. And I watch, you know, a lot of NBA, and they say, you know, and the commentators talk about sometimes the refs just got to walk away. Now, if a player comes following you and they get all up in your face, you run down the court and they still coming at you, that's different. But if you hear them talking, sometimes you got to have plan ignoring, just ignore them. I mean, they hit the owner of the team with a tech. So my nephew got a tech because he should have got an N1. And he said, call a foul. Tech, huh? Like,
Oh
dude,
wow.
you know they're gonna do some talking. So I think they already were going into this game with their chips stacked against them, as well as a couple of their players. Their center and their point guard came a few minutes late. So I think when that other team seen that, their confidence was sky high because we had just beat their ass by 40, a 40 burger a couple weeks ago. So like I was going back and forth in the chat with the coach. I said, listen, dude, 9 techs. I said, you don't beat a team by 40, and all of a sudden a change just happened like that. I said, a little home cooking there. But of course, they're not going to admit that. But season over with. Hey, but we killed ourselves too with a lot of missed layups, a lot of easy shots, getting our shots blocked. I'm like, damn, these dudes can't get up, just getting their shots blocked and stuff. So turnovers. So it happened. Good season. Good inaugural season. Come back next year with bigger expectations. Maybe pick up a couple more players and roll on. But it was definitely entertaining. And the thing about it is, if they'd have won, they would have been a little closer to me. I drove to Binghamton, which was like over probably 4.5 hours, but they were scheduled to play in Scranton, PA, which is only like 3 hours away. So they was gonna get close. So I wouldn't have to drive that much. But it's over. But March Madness is still on. So, you know, like I said, this time of the year that I'm amped up about love this time of year in sports. But we got a good subject going on here tonight, and it kind of fits in the theme, especially with that guy that's getting a lot of notoriety because of the fit he had on. I think the thing was like, "Ain't I fresh?" And some younger people were clowning him for his outfit, and he had to be some guy probably in his look like he's maybe in his mid 40s, early 50s, but they were saying he was taking it ill, talking big shit, and I'm like, man, had on a polo shirt, look like some jeans, a little crease in it, and some New Balances that matched the shirt, old school, head to toe. But
Right.
again, I always say to myself, I like, damn, this shit went viral. That they talking about, you know, freaking contract or a little thing with New Balances and all of this stuff. And I'm like, damn, only if I record everything the kids say to me at school. I get that all the time. Oh, Mr. Glover, your drip is phony, or sometimes big drip. If they like something you like, oh, I was dripping. But if they don't, your drip is phony. I'm like, damn, imagine if I was recording that and like acting like and people took it because I guess they appealed to empathy for him, and was in the chat was kind of coming in, going off on the people that was saying that, like, what's wrong with his outfit? He looked like he pay bills, he does his thing. Now his ass sitting on top of the world. Now he got choices. His whole social media platform has blown up because of that. And I'm like, it's crazy how that how that happens. But this is right on time with that conversation. If y'all don't know what I'm talking about, I know I did it the other week when I had, maybe that was a little personal when I had posted the food, but let me see if let me see if I could find that.
You should be able to
Maybe
do a share screen and run whatever it is you're running.
let me see. I don't know if I did it like that before.
Oh, okay.
Let me see. I don't know how. I don't remember how to. Okay, I think I got it.
Yep, just have to make it bigger. It was in the top right hand corner.
Oh, it's
Or for me, top right hand corner.
oh. See, before it just was automatically big.
Oh, okay.
I ain't gonna worry about it. All right, we just gonna go on. I ain't gonna worry about it. All right, don't worry about it. Maybe I'll figure it out later. That's if you don't see it. If you haven't seen it, just go ahead and you can Google it, and you'll see. Like, man, he just had he was matching head to toe. But these people, they clowned, like I said, some younger people that have no idea about probably color coordinating clothes.
And the thing about that is, I was a and to a larger extent, I'm still a monochrome dresser, meaning that I like to wear one color from head to toe. Now, I'll dig up some old pictures and I'll drop them in group. Um, that was one thing I just liked. I just liked because I like pastels. I just like the brightness of the clothing that I wear, and I would actually go out clubbing dressed like that. So me wearing a suit, nice pair of shoes, button up shirt, and a tie, that was standard practice for me for about a period of about 6, 7 months up to maybe a year. And it's funny, I remember my homegirl saying to me, she came up, she said, "Her, you know none of these women in here are gonna talk to you just like that." I said, "Yeah, I know." I said, "It's female repellent." And the thing about that is this: if it's similar to a man seeing a very well dressed woman, if he doesn't know how to approach a woman of that caliber, unless he doesn't care, he's not going to approach her. And that was the same concept with me, even though, I was out in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Same concept applies. There's some women that says, "Oh no, I ain't even gonna mess with him. Oh no, he looked like this," and those type of guys are so on and so forth. And so I really have problems with not having to deal with a certain type of woman. And as I got older, that was a boom for me. That was great. It was like I don't have to tell her no. I don't have to. I don't have to fend her off. I don't have to worry about her asking me to buy her drinks, which seems to be a lot of things that a lot of fellas always complain about. In order for them to talk to women, you got to buy her a drink. Newsflash: in my entire life, I have purchased only 2 drinks for women. One because she asked and I knew her. I was like, all right, sure. And one just because I was feeling good that night. But if you got to buy a drink to have a conversation with a woman, I don't know what to tell you. And we generally don't do approaches on this platform or game, but I think that's something we might have to delve into. So fellas who might come across us who aren't out in our age demographic, Gen X, they're 35 and younger, they learn how to skillfully, and when I say skillfully, I do mean that skillfully insert themselves into a party multiple women where they're the only person, they don't have a wingman, and they learn how to get what they want. It's the equivalent to going fishing. Every fish you get, every fish you catch, you don't always take home. Sometimes you throw them back because they're underdeveloped. You don't want to eat them. They don't have what you want. I'm not gonna say the word I was gonna say because I don't want anybody to be triggered off of that. But yeah, style becomes yeah. I was gonna say something else, but I'm gonna leave that one on. But style, once you get, and I realize this, once you get past high school and you get into college, style becomes highly, highly personalized for those who have the ability to step out from the norm. And if you don't step out from the norm in college, you never will do it. And it takes a lot of intestinal fortitude, like you said about the guy with the New Balances. You're gonna take some shots. You're gonna take some good natured ribbon. You're gonna take some people taking shots at you, and you just still got to say, "Hey, look, this is my look. This is what I do. This is what I like. I'm gonna continue to rock this look, regardless of who says what." Just like I wear my fisherman hat with a nice pair of khaki shorts and a button-up shirt, whatever it is. That's my thing. That's what I do. I'm not gonna stop my flow just because somebody else don't like it. Look that way. Look that way. You don't have to look at me, but I'm here.
what what I don't realize, what I think they didn't realize, the man had on a nice polo, and some New Balances. Not every place rocks New Balances like that. I know
Right.
down here in Baltimore, in DC, that's their thing. They wear New Balances. So, and it's certain brands, and they go by the numbers. Like when I first got here, they were like, "Oh, what Mr. Glover, about them 990s?" Oh, what the hell are you talking about? But they call them by name. So those not 990s, they're they're about 156, maybe like 180 or something. But
New Balance? Damn.
they're like runner shoes, and they're real comfortable. I've had a couple pair of them, and they're definitely comfortable. But if you wear them on a regular basis, they're gonna get crushed sooner or later. And I don't know who's gonna keep purchasing. Well, some people will. They got different colors, but like the customary colors, the gray ones that people wear. Prime example, when my niece was down here for college, she would be like, man, she went back home with some of the Baltimore style, and folks in Niagara Falls was kind of looking like, oh, why you got those on? And she's like, they didn't know nothing about them. She couldn't find any there. So I'm sure now it's going to generate more, and I don't know what number he had on. I don't think they were 990s, but they just didn't know. So they had to crack and like say little things. Even I could say, for example, like Wallabies, Clarks. I wear them. Throughout the week, and it's like, what kind of shoes you got on? This, like, what are those? And it takes a teacher like from New York to say they don't know nothing about these Wallabies, man. They don't know. And I like, y'all don't know. You got to maybe talk to your dad, your uncle, or somebody. But these forever gonna be in style. But do you let that hurt your feelings? No, you just laugh at them. And me, I give people, sad to say, because I'm petty, I look a kid up and down and like, yo, you better chill. Yeah, I crack back. I crack back. And I think that's what they appreciate about me, because I look you up and down, give you that look, and like, you need to stop. You need to stop. And some of them, they'll get it and they'll say, all right, Mr. Glover, all right. You need to stop right now.
Yeah, the last thing they want is the rest of the school laugh at them because the teacher done got the best of them. And that's one thing they don't want. But speaking of the Wallabies, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of
And
the
I'm not your
Canvas
traditional
Converse.
counselor.
It reminds me of the Canvas Converse. Now, when we were kids, we called those buddies. Those were the least expensive shoe on the market. Those same shoes right now retail for damn near $100. And I'm looking at myself, I'm like, When did these become that sneaker? I'm like, that's insane. Nothing's changed about the material. Still canvas. There's still a single sole glued. I don't even think they're stitched. They're glued, and they're killing the market. They are killing the market. It's crazy.
What's going on, Brian? And that's facts.
Yeah.
Straight facts. It's a way to express yourself. And I can say that like even when I came with the alias, the controversial counselor. Now I always wear like my Applejack type hats, and I had a publicist at the time, and I had a couple fedoras, but I didn't have as many as I have now. And she was like, that. She was like, you need that fedora hat. That signifies, that expresses more of the controversy, that image. And then one of my coworkers said, he said, "Now that's it. You need that fedora joint, man. It's a different look for you, whatever. It's like you about your business."
Yeah.
And then I started purchasing more. So again, and I always joke around and tell my mother and my family, I said, dressing is an art. It's an art. Like if you got an event to go to, you have to start having that image in your head. Like, what am I going to wear? Because the last thing you want to do is be twins for somebody. Last minute, when you wait last minute, you're going to be twins for somebody. But if you plan it out in your head months in advance and you know something coming up, you start picking up the pieces and you start putting it together. So it's definitely a form of expression. It's an art to it. Uh, and if you just want like, well, I'm just gonna throw in this, then that's gonna look like everybody else in the spot. And that's what I refuse to. I try not to do personally.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's get to the heart of what actually sprung this. Now, for those of you who are in the counselor's corner, you probably have seen the post. You probably didn't comment on it, but you've probably seen the post. And it was a post of R&B neo soul singer Erica Badu. Now we know Erica walks through her own drum beat. I don't think anybody's trying to persecute her for doing such. I think what people, myself included, are saying at her age, isn't there a time and place for dressing how she was dressed? And I think she had on a bathing suit behind out, and I don't know if she was going to perform or where she was. And I was just like, at that age, one would think modesty would probably take over, at least in some form. Now, I'm not saying a woman can't wear a bathing suit, but what I've seen women do who want to wear a bathing suit and still be considered to be modest is they wear wrap with it. So it kind of obscures the lower half of whether she's capable of pulling it off or not is immaterial to the discussion. At that age, most people are dealing with their younger grandkids. So you generally want to set a good template, an example for them so they know what to look like when they get of a certain age. There is a web page on YouTube called Vintage Treasures. If you like old style nostalgia, pardon me, film and picture media, go check that out and just sit, listen to the narration, and take in the pictures. Most of those images they have are about a century old, so you get to see what Americans look like, what Americans dress like in their day-to-day living. I see people walking around with bowler hats on. I see people walking on with fedoras that Dave was talking about. Shout out to a man who, as far as I know, put fedoras on the map. That was Coach Tom Landry of the Dallas Cowboys. Every football game, he always dressed the same. He mandated that his players, especially on road trips, dressed a certain way. Just like David said, it showed that they meant business when they went on the road. So check that out, Vintage Treasures. But in a lot of that footage, you saw people, regardless of what they did for a living, They were well dressed. No holes in clothing, none of that nonsense. Now, as my personal edict, there are certain things that I see on the woman. If she's not wearing the accompany footwear, I automatically cross her off the list. That's just my thing. I'm not gonna get into it, so don't ask me what it is because I'm not giving up. I'm not giving
no,
up the
no,
ghost.
no, 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 no. Come on, man. We need to know what is the eliminating process of the footwear that she wears that she's out of the game. What is it?
I'll give you one. Holes in clothes. I'm not disparaging George Michael. I know there's probably some Wham fans out there, some George Michael fans. Gotta have faith. I'm not against a person's personal style. But when I was coming up, holes in clothes meant that you were poor. I can't represent a poor look. Get all the skinny jeans you want to, rock all the bell bottoms you want to, but please, for the sake of fashion and decorum, don't have no holes in your clothes. Not unless you.
So you said no rips, those distressed jeans. You
Yeah,
can't have
man.
rips in your jeans.
I'm sorry. I would rather you have patches on them things. Now, see, the patches to me, they say I got a little bit of style. I'm gonna switch this up. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. I can live with the patches, but the holes in clothes, because you got some people that got rips underneath the buttocks. I'm thinking, why? If you want to if you really want to show your ass, just wear some thong shorts. It's legal. And walking around like that, they say, no, 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 I don't want to do that. Well, what is the purpose of wearing ripped pants? It's the style. Whose style? I don't know anybody that's going out spending money on clothes with holes in them intentionally. To me, that's baffling. But like I said, that's my thing. I know that's going to alienate some people. They're going to say, well, they're not. Hey.
Not that you checking me out, whatever the case is, but I have a couple pair of jeans, whatever, with some holes in it. Just just get caught up in the little thing trend. Not, but most of my jeans are not. But I got a couple pair, like a pair of blue ones and a pair of black ones. But it's something I don't really wear all the time.
Yeah, and I know people are going to say, well, that's the style. You can't find them anywhere that don't have rips in them. Contraire, mon frere. There's two brands, at least one that I'm certainly aware of, that don't make a certain brand of jeans with holes in them. That's Levi's. Levi's is a classic jean company, been around for well over 100 years. I know they 501 blues they used to make, and I don't know per se what iteration of Levi's don't have holes in, but I know Levi's don't make their jeans with holes in, and I don't know if Lee jeans are still out. But most of the jeans that I own, they're older jeans. I was talking to one of my friends today, and I was just telling him, I said, I don't really shop for clothes that often because most of the jobs that I wear, I got uniforms with, so I've been lucky in that regard. But um, I have colorful jeans. I'm. Let me go back to Buffalo State. I used to run a gambit of jeans from orange to turquoise to purple. Back when cross colors was the thing, man. And I had an array of colors, man. You never caught me with just the plain old baby stonewashed jeans on that were blue. No, man, I couldn't do that. You had to see me coming. I was the epitome of a rainbow. Walking, man. Colors. Colors. Those like the song. So I'm not against people having, an array of colors and whatever it is that they dress, but just the whole, man, it just symbolized poverty. I can't do it.
Now, what's funny about that is, growing up, listening to like my grandfather, who was a man that wore a lot of khakis, and actually that's what I would get him all the time for his birthday, which was on Christmas, like different color khakis and stuff like that. But he liked the basic ones, the beige, the khaki color, and I'm like, Granddad, man, like look like you got the same pair every time. You got to change it up a little bit. So he would be happy when I would try to change it up a little bit, but he would always say, "No grown man wear jeans." And back in those days, back in our days when I remember, probably in I don't know 5th or 6th grade, I had like 7 or 8 pair of designer jeans at the time. The Jordache, the Lees,
Jordache, yeah.
Calvin Klein, all of those. But they were snug, but they came back to snug look because people wearing the snug jeans. Now, my jeans may be a little tighter than normal now because I feel like I shouldn't have on those baggy ass jeans that's falling off of me at 53. But my grandfather used to be adamant about that. No man don't wear no jeans, whatever. That's for women. And and then to hear like other people, this other guy that I worked this summer program with, we were sharing like these stories. He said, "Yeah, my pops always said no grown ass man over 40 should be wearing shorts." I'm like, no shorts,
Ooh,
like khaki shorts or whatever. It's like we said they have to be a certain length. He's like, if you sit down
okay.
and if your thigh is showing, then they too small, whatever. If they hike up like that, he is like, that's for pretty much sissies. And so that was some of the thought processes from some of the guys. Not all, but guys that probably grew up in the South. At least those, a couple individuals I know that had spoke on that. So I wonder if anybody else heard any of those type of things that which you shouldn't be wearing as a man.
And definitely there's some regionalism with that, as David just said. In the South they have their own style. You go out west, um, Chuck Taylor's out, well, the Converse and Chuck Taylor's and khakis. That's a West Coast staple. There is absolutely no question. I mean, especially when you look at the hip hop culture, you look at the way Snoop dressed, Dre, that was represented not only in their day to day thing, but in their music as well. You saw it in the videos. So I'm not sure what necessarily the Midwest does, the upper Midwest. I know the South has theirs, New York City has their thing. New York City, hell, as a brother, you couldn't step on the street unless you had on a pair of Timberlands. I remember going to Ball State, man. Yeah, that's something right there, Brian. We'll get into that later. When I went to Buff State and cats came up from New York City, all they had was Timberlands. It's like, yo, you don't have anything else? Nah, man, that's all we rock down there is Tim's, man. Tim's this, Tim's that. Now, I owned a few pair of Timberlands, but I was mostly a sneakerhead. So, Air Max. Um, we had just moved off of because I played a little bit of basketball, but for as much as people like Jordans, I hate to break it to you, but that was a shitty ass basketball sneaker. I am not gonna lie. You can rock them all you want to, call them the epitome of fashion, but I would not play basketball ever in a pair of Jordans. The best basketball sneaker I had on was the Gary Payton's, the Son of Gloves. That sock in there held my foot like a newborn baby. So that was for me. That was the best basketball sneaker I've ever had. But getting back to what we were talking about, they Timberlands, no sneakers, so they couldn't really go to a place and not kind of stand out. And for them, it was okay because they were representing where they came from, and that's what I mean by the regionalism when it comes to fashion. Every place has a certain look. I mean, let me let me think about this for a hot second. Um, Baseball hats, and I was just talking to Dave earlier about this. You go to some places, they will not wear baseball caps unless they're going to a sporting event. Me, I wouldn't step out the I wouldn't step out my dorm room unless I had one on sometimes. And I was in high school. I remember distinctly in high school, people who know me from high school can vouch for this. I wore my hat sitting on top of my head, turned a certain way with the tag out. That was my style. Didn't care who said what. There's like, oh yo, there go her with his hat on sideways, his tag on. That was my thing. I kind of grew out of that though. But I still love my hats. I still got most of my hats upstairs buried in my attic, about between 200 and 250, sitting up there just collecting dust. Maybe one day I'll give them away to somebody who's worthy, who represents the hat game the way I like it. But every region, they have their thing. Sundresses. I know we're talking mostly about men's fashion, but let's get into what some of the women might wear. Sundresses, skirts, two pieces, tube skirts, skirts that flare out. You might get some women who who love wearing Crocs, love wearing flats because they're comfortable. And Brian said something about this earlier. I'm sorry, not Brian, Daphne. A lot of people are going to wear what's comfortable. This is why you see a lot of women wearing leggings. And I want to address something between leggings and tights. Ladies, this is a public service announcement. Do not wear tights as leggings. Yes, men like to see the female figure, but we don't need to know what color underwear you're wearing. That's what tights reveal. Yeah, man. So I'm here to give you some heads up. When I see you wearing that, automatically off the list. I don't care how fine you. I say in my mind she can't dress. She has no decorum. So if you're gonna wear them, wear the correct clothing. I know somebody's gonna ask, well, how do you know what the difference is between leggings and tights? Because I'm observant. That's how I know. I'm giving you some heads up. Don't wear tights when you should be wearing leggings. But back to the footwear, flats, Crocs, all of that stuff, man. If you can rock it and you feel comfortable in it, don't let nobody, as David just said, stop your drip. Leave that faucet leaking.
See, when y'all spoke on comfort, and I talked about this in the promo, for most of my years in education, I think I worked 10 years at Bryan and Stratton. So it's kind of like shirt and tie, blazers, dress pants, khakis, Monday through Thursday. Then I transitioned. I worked at the high school level for 8 years. Pretty much the same thing. And then, but in high school, I started realizing you can't be wearing these slippery earls, breaking up fights and shit, busting your ass, whatever, trying to break up a fight. So that happened to me a couple times, like in the cafeteria. Luckily, I came one time, the way it happened, it was like a perfect situation because I was near a wall. And mind you, like some of my side jobs I had, like on the psychiatric unit at detention homes, we got skip trains, so I knew some techniques. So one time I remember slipping, but I had a wrap around the girl who was fighting. You know, girls, they just wild.
Wow,
you got to get a good grip of them. So I was near a wall and I started sliding, but I still had her, so it was an easy slide right into like I forgot what was it called? Sort of like a little blanket wrap or something. Somehow I had her wrapped up my legs around her and all that. So she couldn't go anywhere. So the kids like, Mr. Glover, you bust your ass. But then some kids like, I don't know. That might have been a technique. It's like because he still had her and he never let her go during that time. It's like that was pretty slick. And because I knew the position to get her in. So, but overall, you just don't want to be in the lucky I was near a wall. You don't want to be in the middle of somewhere trying to break up someone with some damn, as we would say, church shoes. So at the middle school level, I might have started off wearing them, but then after a while, it's just too much going on around here, too much going on at any given time. So now I pretty much wear sneakers every day. Probably look like one of the older social studies teachers, how they would have, but it's for comfort. But you know that I make sure I match it head to toe. It's matching my shirt. The whole it's all gonna be matched up, whatever. So you would never know. You would still say, damn, somebody could come in here with a suit, but he just got on some khakis, a button-down shirt, and some sneakers and shit. He looking better than that person with that damn bullshit ass suit on. But it was about comfort, adjusting the comfort, like going up and down stairs, and at any given time in hallways that you might have to sprint up the hallway a little bit to try to break up a fight. Now you could be someone who doesn't do anything and just let them go at it. But instinctively, because of the jobs that I had, it's a natural thing to do. It's just like, okay, what's going on here? Let me it's too much chaos. And I always find myself in the heat of it. Just luckily I never got hurt or anything. That's the one thing they always say, you all right? Did you get hurt? And of course, I'm not one to be like, no, I hurt my shoulder. I need to be off work. I ain't trying to be on no disability. I ain't shorting my checks or none of that shit. I'm all right. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah. That's
So
a and that
comfort is the main thing.
and that's a real thing, a lot of people they they will take that disability. Some some may not need the money, or they want the break and they want a little something coming in. Because I will say this much, I even with the jobs I've worked in security, I've been fortunate to when I've had to intervene into a physical altercation, I never got hurt. And there's been quite a few that I've had to get involved in physically, you know, working at the casino here. There's the situation with then Senator Gusani, which was I I I I tell the story kind of tongue in cheek, but I say it was a bar fight that happened in the casino, and that was wild. That shit was wild as hell. But they always mandated that we wore boots, not sneakers, because boots give you a little bit better grip on certain material. We had a lot of rugs in there, or if we were off the gaming floor, you were on I think the floors were granite and some were tile. But there were some situations in there where you needed not only did you need to be comfortable, you need to be able to get down, especially on the midnight shift, because that's when we got the vast majority of intoxes. So, you know, comfort is always going to be a thing. So I've eased up on my disdain for Crocs, because medical professionals, they say they are the most comfortable thing that they've ever worn. I know they used to have this website called Shoes for Crews, and they would sell footwear for medical professionals or people who are on their feet all the time. But in the medical profession, because you never know what kind of surface you might be stepping. You might step in some human excrement, human urine, or blood. You need to have that traction so you don't fall. So I've kind of relaxed on Crocs, although I can't see myself wearing them. They remind me of flip flops, and I hate flip flops. Flip flops to me only
See, that's
belong
a
in two
different
places.
thing.
Flip flops belong
I was just
either
about
on
to get into that.
the beach or public showers. Only place I'm wearing flip flops at. If I decide to wear.
Yeah. And I know people, and I've been saying this for years, people would say, well, you know, you're too old to get into fights and all that. I am not, as a man, I'm not wearing no, if I'm out with a woman, I'm not wearing no sandals, flip flops. I don't give a damn if it's 100 degrees and we out somewhere, because I'm always going to think security wise. And I'm thinking, hey, if you're with a woman and you feel confident about yourself, other people are going to look at her and say, damn, okay. So, and you just never know. You have to step off to the bathroom, and some people just rudely, they just rude, get
Mhm.
nice, and they feel like they can tug on, grab a woman, or when you're not around, all up in her face, and then they don't have the emotional intelligence or the control to say, okay, let me back off. They still talking. You pop back out of the bathroom and like, yo, what's all this conversation about? Whatever, what's going on here? And you want to be prepared. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. You ain't prepared when you got on fucking sandals with a thong and flip flops and it's time to get down, whatever. I always make this example. What are you going to say to your woman? Hold my shoe. We about to fight. And he got on Timberlands or whatever the case is. First thing you got to do is step on your feet. Then you
Yeah.
automatically probably lost the fight, whatever, because you're going to react like probably bend down or bend over. And that's going to be it. And you need to be prepared. So
Yeah.
I don't care what type of environment. I don't care what woman is trying to convince you. Those, why you wearing those sneakers? It's too hot. It's gonna be a nice day. Why don't you show your toes? Nope, 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 nope. It's security mind to me, whatever. So some of y'all let them convince y'all to put on matching pajamas for Christmas time. Don't let them convince you to wear matching sandals and flip flops. Old Navy got a sale. Y'all want to wear y'all flip flops? Don't do it. These kids is rude out here now, real rude, and the younger ones, and they ready to shit. They real flip at the lip, but that's your
Yeah.
choice. That's your choice. I just choose not to. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, and getting back to the safety and comfort. I remember, I personally speaking, I like wearing ties. I think it accentuates the man. So I remember, and I'll go back to when I was working security at the casino. When I first got the uniform, I got the tie, and I looked up to my manager. I said, "You want me to wear this?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "But it's Velcro." He said, "Yes, exactly." I said, "How do I look professional walking around with a tie that's Velcro?" And he asked me a simple question. He said, "Have you ever had anybody grab you by the tie when you're wearing it?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "What happens?" Just said, "You can't breathe." And then when I said it, I was like, "Oh, I get it." So, fellas, I'm going to follow what Dave said about security. If you like wearing ties, like I do, and you're going to a place where the vast majority of people aren't wearing ties, you may want to reconsider. Because if somebody grabs this, they can choke your ass right the fuck out. As a public service announcement from a man who's worked in the profession where ties were a standard. If you want to wear a tie, get a bow tie. Don't get one of these because this puts you at a distinct advantage. If I can grab it, I don't care how strong you are. You can only be so strong when you breathe, and when you ain't breathing, you got some problems, and you probably not gonna be able to respond as well. So get your bow tie. If you don't know how to tie one of these into a bow tie, and you like the particular tie, there's YouTube tutorials that will teach you how to do it. So bow tie. If you like wearing ties and you're going to an event, an all white event or whatever the case it is, you want to dress up and you, like David said, you with your woman and you want to look the part, get a bow tie. All right. That's a public service announcement and a security apparatus that a lot of people probably don't know about and don't have that kind of understanding. So don't put yourself at a disadvantage. Excuse me, because you want to look fly. Look fly, but be smart about looking fly. So safety, and that's with any man. You should always think safety first. No matter where you go with your clothing and things of that nature. So always, always be safety conscious first when you go in places. Like I said, that tie, man, it can look good. It can also be your death sentence. So um, I see what else. Fashion and movies. I'm going to mention a couple movies. I'm going to mention some TV shows and some magazines. Goodfellas, Hoodlum, and Harlem Nights. GQ, of course, stands for Gentlemen's Quarterly. Details, Jet, Ebony, Vanity Fair, Elle, spelled ELLE, which is French for she. Television shows, Cosby Show, Roseanne, Good Times, Brady Bunch, My Three Sons. All those shows, all those magazines, they have one thing in common above most of the other things that they represented. The one thing they have in common was most, if not all, of the characters, the main characters anyway, they were well dressed. Even in Good Times, which is supposed to be about an impoverished black family, they never
Hold up.
had. Go ahead.
I know you ain't talking about James was dressed. James had
No,
two
no, no,
outfits.
no, 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 no. I was. That's why I included the show Good Times because I wanted people to understand something. As impoverished as they were, they never
Uh,
had holes in their clothes. I'm going back to yes because I have a
no, actually, James
disclaimer.
had a hole in the corduroys.
Did he?
James in the back pocket, whatever. He wore them shit so much, whatever. He had and that's because I had the series a good time, so I love that show.
Okay.
So yeah, so he did. But I understand what you're saying. They tried for what they had, or the story that they
Yeah.
depicted on the in that time. But yeah, I guess he had his suits for interviews if they had to go
Yeah.
somewhere. But he had his few outfits.
And the term Sunday best also comes to mind. When I was a kid, the standard going to church was a three-piece suit. You had your pants, the vest, and the suit coat, and a nice pair of shoes. And side note, men, I'm speaking directly to you. Yes, I'm speaking to you, men. If you don't know how to shine a pair of shoes, learn for the sake of keeping your footwear, pardon me, looking crisp and on point. Learn how to shine your shoes. Get some shoe polish and keep them joints on point. Shoe trees, if you got nice pair of leather shoes. I know most of us probably don't because they tend to be a little pricey. People would rather spend the money on sneakers, but that's another topic for a different time. Learn how to shine your shoes. Get yourself a shoe tree. Keep them shoes on point. But Sunday best, that's how we were raised. Most of us at least most black people anyway, when we went to church, you represented the family. You weren't going to looking like no hobo. There were no jeans. It was unacceptable. You're gonna wear a suit and some shoes. I don't care if you don't like it. That's what you're gonna wear. And we've strayed so far from that as a people and as a culture that you see people in church wearing any old thing. Now, mind you, I don't attend church service regularly, so things could have changed from the last time that I was there, which has been some years. But the last time I was there, it was almost unrecognizable to me that people were wearing jeans and just t-shirts, and I'm just like, have we really fallen that far from um clothing grace? I'll say that we don't care what we look like anymore.
Well,
I don't know.
isn't that the message that the church tries to deliver? Come as is,
Hmm.
and they would try to promote that. Like, don't worry about having, I guess the dress clothes, because some people make it to a fashion show, like, and gossip and clicks and stuff. Oh, you see what such and such had on at church, or her kids look like this in church. So I guess for them to get the word and get people to come in, should come as is, and people,
Mm.
they take heed to that. So maybe that had a lot to do probably with the shift. When those numbers is low, then you're trying to get people to build up your congregation. You got to start probably downscaling a little bit. Like, hey, we just got to get them to come in. Can't focus on this being a regular Sunday fashion show, which some people, which I think how it used to be, and that's where you have all the chaos because people talking about this and that.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
yeah, yeah. And that's the really sad thing. The really tragic thing is how the church can be full of people who denigrate others based on what they look like. And the old doctrine, as you said, come as you are, it's permeated that. And now, mind you, I don't have a problem with somebody attending church like that. It's just a shock to me, given the way that I came up in the church. And the thing about it is this: you'll take those same group of people who come to church wearing jeans and a t-shirt. But if they were going to a concert and they needed to wear certain clothing, they would break their necks to get enough money together to wear that kind of clothing. We see it. Matter of fact, coming up now is Easter. We gonna see everybody stepping out and something new for Easter. But you mean to tell me you can't go spend that same kind of money, time, and energy on something to get to where that's appropriate for church service? That's that's why I come down hard upon that. Now, like I said, I don't attend church service. So far be it for me to critique an individual who dresses like that. That was one of the reasons why when I asked a series of questions in the counselor's corner and people responded, acknowledgement to all those people who responded. I'm greatly appreciative of the people who responded. And that brought to light something. Everybody who responded, I believe, is on at least the demographic of 40 and older. Which begs the difference. This is something I said about the Erica Badu thing. Who's teaching the youth how and when to dress and what's appropriate at certain places at certain times? Because I have a boatload of jerseys. I'll be the first to tell you. I got jerseys I can wear a different jersey damn near every day of the week, weekends included, and not wear the same one. So I understand, the desire to wear certain things at certain times, regardless of what anybody says. Knock yourself out. That's your prerogative. It's your business. But you don't really want to show up to, let's say, I'm trying to think of something. You don't want to show up to uh see, this is easier for women. Women can get away with wearing a sundress to damn near any event. Don't matter. Don't matter if it's a football game or any kind of sporting event, religious service. Women rarely will be out of place with wearing a dress, sundress, or what any other kind of dress, in a nice pair of heels or flats. Whether the heels are quarter inch, half inch, or whatever the case is, a stiletto, wide bottom. Women can get away with that because the fashion world and most people will allow that. I had a conversation earlier today with a friend and we were discussing that. For men, it's a little different. You don't want to necessarily show up to a barbecue in your Sunday best. People are going to clown you. You might get some respect from a few people, but you're going to be uncomfortable. You're not going to be able to really partake in certain things. You're not going to be able to move around with comfort that you like. So that's when you, like Davis, what you said, your grandfather said that? So that's when you want to show up in a nice, and you can dress up. I'm going to tell you how to do it. You can wear you a pair of nice khaki shorts, as Davis people said, and a nice button-up shirt. Buttons on top, under
You
here.
can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. But you got some of these younger heads that want to wear a pair of Crocs. They want to wear a T-shirt, and they just want to wear a pair of gym shorts. Come on, man. You had a family function, a barbecue. You might see a nice shorty you want to walk up to, but she's gonna be like, look at the way you dressed. I ain't talking to you. And all of a sudden now, what you wear has stopped you from getting on. And I know people say, well, they'll learn when. Who's going to teach them if they don't know by 2021, 22 what's appropriate? And I use the term appropriate loosely. What's appropriate, what's acceptable, what's going to get you acknowledged, and what's going to get you disinvited next time. Because the person who set up the invitation list, if there was one, is going to say, okay, you know what? I saw what they were wearing last time. They can't come back here. So the next time the party rolls around, you don't get an invite. Think about what you wore. It might be the catalyst.
One of the things about this generation coming up that no matter what, it's hard to tell them anything.
Mhm.
They have their ideas and thought processes, and that's just that. You're too old. Y'all don't know. You're always talking about back in the days. We not in back in the days. But then when you tell them this shit y'all got on right now, we already did this. It just came back around.
Mhm.
Everything y'all got on, we already did this, and they're not. Their minds are so blocked out that no matter what, their whole family could tell them that, and they still have it in mind, like they created everything. And I'm like, damn, like it's crazy that we would actually listen to elderly people and
Mhm.
take heed to what they said. And so it's gonna be hard. That's why it's so hard. This whole education, the whole behaviors at the workplace, and all that stuff. it's kind of hard because they got a mind of their own, and it's hard to penetrate and get through it. Now, I'm not saying that's like it's hopeless and all that stuff, because there are some that it's kind of listen, they fall in line, they do that. But a great deal of them, shit, they just free spirited. They think they could do what they want. You can't tell them anything. You can't tell them this what you should wear for the interview. This what you should do. You try to give them little gems to roll with. They try to always find a way to push back.
And you know what the funny thing about that is this. I remember the first time I got my ear pierced. I was 23. You can't tell now I have 4 holes, but I rarely wear earrings. It's something that I've grown out of. So women, especially if you have a young teenage son and he doesn't have good male stewardship, what I would suggest is you don't push him. Don't give him your standard. Have him go sit around and just watch the interaction with men who you would like him to emulate. And I'm not talking about the men out there hustling and doing all this nonsense. I'm talking about men who actually get up and go and work in corporate America, men who actually dress for their job, and have him look at those particular men and say, and ask him, what do you like that he's wearing? And he may tell you nothing. I don't like the way they look. I don't like anything about what they wear. I would never wear anything like that. And then ask him, what is it that you want to do in life? What kind of woman do you want? What kind of lifestyle do you want? How much money do you want to earn? And then listen to his answers. And then sit him down and write on paper the kind of money, the things his answers, and what the people who earn that kind of money look and dress like. And then tell him, son, I understand you want to look a certain way, you want to fit in. But do you want to fit in with this crowd? And you show him what this crowd looks like. And you ask him, do you want to fit in with this crowd and what this crowd looks like? Tell him at any time you're going to have to conform to a certain look. Shout out to BGS and his Octane model. Hopefully, and I know BGS, you're busy. You've spoken an Octane model at nauseum. I can't wait for you to get that book out. But there's a model that we all, and I don't care who you are, male, female, hermaphrodite, gay, native Black American, Native American, Caucasian, Asian, Hispanic. I don't care what your ethnicity is, what your culture comes from. Everybody adheres to a certain style of looking in corporate America because you have to look the part to fit in to make the money. If you don't, you won't. So ask yourself, what kind of money does he want to make? And say, the people that make that money, they dress like this. But understand that when you're not working, you're free to have your style outside of work. So there's a balance that everybody must maintain to get a certain thing. You can have a work you can have an out of work you. They don't always have to be at the same spot at the same time. Let me read this message by Brian K. Thomas. When you live in a society that makes no difference between a man and woman, and in some cases an animal, how do we expect this society to make difference in their in their apparel for appropriate events? The family has been broken, and which is also the foundation of every nation. What we're discussing is the cracks in the foundation of this nation. These are the results. No reverence, no difference. Stubborn, stiff necked, rebellious. With that, dressing becomes a daily bold statement to who I am. Exactly. But you have a lot of people that, like you said, they have no foundation. This is why it becomes, and that's one of the reasons why I chose to dress like this, because it becomes imperative that in order for a man or young boy, young teenage boy who's just emerging fully from adolescence to understand that you need certain building blocks to get to the next step of manhood. And appearance is one of those things. ZZ Top made a song called But Every Lady Loves a Sharp Dressed Man. Women love men in uniforms. Why? Because it usually denotes power. The bowler hat. Once upon a time in the construction yard, a man with the bowler hat was a man who controlled your future. He was the foreman. He controlled whether you got hours or whether you were employed. So, given that and that foundation needs to be constructed. That's why I just gave the example I did for single mothers. It becomes imperative that your young male children get that good, solid male stewardship. So he understands that he doesn't have to look like this all the time. But when it comes to work, he understands, you know what? I got to go here and work. Even if he has his own business, he might walk into a bank one day to get a loan. He's going to have a much better chance looking something like this as opposed to looking like he's an urban fellow. Now, that's not to say that somebody who looks like an urban fellow can't walk in there with the proper credentials and get the loan. Absolutely not. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is, why make something infinitely harder? There was a clip one time, and I can't remember the brother's name. He walked into Bank of America, I think it was, handed the cashier a note about the breakdown he wanted them in the money. Now, because of the withdrawal amount, she had to take him to a separate room. She would take him to a separate room and count out the money. But because she didn't believe he was who he was, even though the credentials matched, the account number matched, everything matched, they end up calling the police and arresting this brother. Now, this brother was a multi-millionaire. And her rationale was because he didn't look the part. That's the underwriting of the system that certain segments of society have to fight against. This is why, shout out to Kevin Samuels, and they're using this material like it's okay. And I kind of take offense to that, but that's a different topic. This is why he always talked about Suit Saturdays. This is why he's always talking about men understanding how to dress, how to present themselves in public, so you can avoid those kinds of things. Yes, they were wrong, but it still doesn't negate the situation that he had to go through, being arrested for doing absolutely nothing other than being a black male with a lot of money who didn't look the part going into a bank. That's the sad reality that we have to face. This is why it's imperative that sometimes you have to dress and play the role.
And I think Brian said something, about the foundation, which is key. The foundation should come from the home. And that's the struggle in the school system, that we're missing the foundation. And as someone who's been in education for 30 years, I often sit back and kind of chuckle in these leadership meetings and the things that we have, because yeah, still haven't hit the homes. That's where everything needs to be focused. Screw having all these grants and these programs in the school. Some of this stuff need to go to the homes, whether you have teachers working, giving them extra opportunities to go in the homes, tutoring, programs after school, that you go into the communities or whatever. To me, that's the only way it's going to change. If you're never hitting the homes or the communities and you're just dealing with stuff in that building, and you think you got a stranglehold on a kid for that 6.5 hours, nah, those behaviors is shit all throughout the hallway, who they really are in that dismissal time. They're taking off that mask, and once they enter back into that community, that's who they're going to be. See, for me, growing up on North Avenue, shit, we had a lot of shit
That's what.
going on North Avenue. But I was able to adjust to say, to be humble, do what I had to do at school because I respected my mother, I respected my grandparents, my aunts, and I thought deeper that they do a lot for me. And I don't have to lack for anything. And that was my motivation. These kids don't, excuse my language, don't give a fuck at all. At
Right.
all. I mean, I talked to them like, how could you do that? Like, what are y'all thinking about? Whatever, like your grandmother, your father, they busting their tails so you can have a better life. I don't care. And, they don't have that voice of reasoning in their head. I would have those voices in my head, like,
Hmm.
they may, nope, don't do it. You better not do it. Yeah, this ain't gonna work out. But I don't think they have it. I don't think they have it. Whether we want to blame it on processed food or whatever the case is, or whatever the situation is, they're missing that as far as making decisions. And that's why we've talked about this. We talked about this before, that we can't be in a rush to put kids out at 18. We can't.
Yeah.
We need more. They need more time. And we can't have the old philosophy of, oh, you grown. You're not grown. They're not grown. They're not ready. They're not ready for this world out here today. It wasn't
Yeah.
as rough for us. It wasn't as rough for
Hmm.
us, that some of us was able to make it. These kids out here, they're not ready. They think they are, but they really not. And that's why you always find yourself letting them come back in, even though when they're doing stuff that they're doing. You know your son got a gun in their own. You know your son's selling drugs, but you keep letting them back in. And what's gonna happen
Hmm.
is, and like you see on certain situations on the news, that y'all both gonna be in body bags after a while
Yeah.
because of technology and the way news travels and all of that stuff. That you don't want to be that parent like that, but you want to prepare them in a positive way. But yeah, and I understand it seems hypocritical for me to say that, but I'm thinking of a kid that they not out there doing illegal stuff. They just not ready. They're not ready. You know they're not ready. Those ones that's out there that's could potentially cause harm. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say for them. Now, in that case, I'm not trying to lose my life for anybody unless
Yeah.
it's a good cause and it's for my, for my family, whatever the case is. But for the most part, I'm not trying to be out there like that. So if you're 18, 19, 20, and that's the lifestyle you want to live, you're pretty much saying, I don't need your assistance. This is the life I want to live. I know it's not what you believe in. I'm going to do it otherwise. See you. Take care. Take
Yeah.
care. Do what you got to do because you can't bring that to me. That's that.
Yeah. We have, and I'll follow that up by saying we have to acknowledge the freedom, that the younger generation has to err. We have to acknowledge that because sometimes that is the best way for them to learn. What we do not want is for the errors that they make, like David said, to take them out or to have permanent collateral damage that can never be rectified. So we have to give them enough room to make age appropriate mistakes. But the adult has to have the terminality and the wisdom to bring them back in and not punish them harshly because they've already been punished enough once. What you want to do is you want to sit down and you want to walk them through now because this is where the critical thinking and development comes in. And you want to say to them, do you understand what happened? Do you understand what could have happened? Now that you're back here, there's a set of unbreakable, unmistakable rules that you're going to adhere to. This is your second chance. You've already had your first chance. You've messed that up. You're back here. This is your last opportunity to get this right because I'm not going to have you bring it to my door. And you lay those rules out. And once you lay those rules out, adhere to them. Be firm, but be fair. Because as David said, these kids are not the same. They don't have the same mentality that we did when we were their age. Be it that the development isn't where it needs to be, they lack the experience, or the parent may not have had the practical experience or has the necessary wisdom to guide them. This is why the village was so important to women. I'm going to say this. You might need to take a step back. Matter of fact, you may need to take several steps back and sit your ass down and let somebody come in there, establish some discipline so that young man learns. Because if women want to be guided and they want to be protected, and you want a man to do that, then that man has to learn from someone who not only knows, but from someone who's actually been through the process. I'm not going to go to a person to learn how to shoot a basketball who's never picked up a basketball in their life. But this is what we have some women doing. We have some women dressing these boys like they would a man they were dating and failing to realize that the man that they're dating, aka his father, is nowhere in the picture. So why do you want to set your son on that path to be a man that you wanted to procreate with, but you didn't want to be with long term? That's defeating the whole purpose of him trying to become a man, of him trying to become the potential husband for somebody else, whether it's when he's in his mid-20s, mid-30s, or 40s, or whatever when it is, he decides that he wants to get married or produce kids. We talk about this all the time. You know, women want to have kids while they're older. Well, who's going to raise your child if that man is not capable of sustaining a home? He's financially unable to. This is what women talk about. You want a six-figure man. You want a six-figure man, but you're raising a dollar man. And if we have too many dollar men, then you ain't gonna get the $100,000 man. Something's got to give. I believe it was Frederick Douglass said, "You give me the man at 6 or 7, I'll give you the man." Something to that effect. I'm paraphrasing. It's not accurate, but this is what women have to understand. So it extends beyond the way a man dresses and behaves. It becomes a mindset, and when that mindset is right, everything else will follow, because he's going to lead from here and not anywhere else. So if it don't make sense up here, he's more than likely to not engage in it. That's part of what dressing for success, shout out to Watt, Willie A. Price, who he teaches with his kids. I'm always a proponent of teaching a young man how to dress. Hey, you want to sag your pants? We can't hang out. That's why. Because everybody know what color underwear you wear. Oh, what's the problem with that? It's not how I roll, man. That's not how I get down. David talked about this earlier, mentioned it earlier today. He don't want to wear jeans that's too baggy. Even though that was kind of the look we came up through with in the late 80s with Chris Cross and everything else. We grew out of that. We wear clothing that fits appropriately. We wear clothing that's appropriate for the event we're going to, whether it's a barbecue, business meeting, religious service, or picnic. Everything has a place, and everything has an appropriate time to be worn. In order to understand that, this got to be taught at a younger age. Go ahead, Dave.
And one of the things is when you dress appropriate, it exudes confidence. Even with kids, when they have things that they have to dress up for, they just smiling away. They smiling away. They happy. They content. Uh, because they know they're looking good. They're getting compliments, and their their self esteem is being built. Then when you have kids that don't have the ability to have that, you can see through their body language, and body language is the greatest percentage of communication that you know something is off. You know something is um, wrong, and they're lacking that confidence. So the subject matter is important in many areas as we think about it. But then when we tie in a piece, and you brought up about what came to my head about the single women, and eventually they'll probably get with some guy that remember about a month ago we talked about our stepdads or boyfriends, just mentors to kids. And shit, do women want to give them the ability to be able to speak freely with their children? And just say, for example, if you're a woman, you got a son, two sons, or whatever the case is. Will you allow that man that's not their father to be open and to speak freely and to kind of get in their ass about certain things? Maybe not physically, because he might not want that. He might have you know, he might have a good thing going on with himself professionally and all that stuff. Like, yo, I ain't got time for this shit. But will you allow him to do that? Most of y'all don't. Yeah, everything has to go through y'all. Yeah, I want to
Mm-hmm.
micromanage everything. And as Herb said, jazz is down somewhere, especially when you feel like you need help and you need assistance, because that's the biggest thing, to try to micromanage someone who has more experience in a certain area than you do. Like sometimes you just need to gotta eat humble pie. Y'all asses eat. Y'all asses eat, but y'all don't like humble pie for whatever reason. Y'all eat. Y'all just don't like humble pie. Sometimes you just gotta eat that and like, yo, I'm full. I'm done. I'm done talking. I don't have nothing to say. But y'all don't. And if you chose that person, you gotta let him lead. You gotta let him talk. And I'm not saying for any old body, because if you end up with
Right.
somebody, the Melvin, the Tyrones, like you said, the Chads and all that, that's on you. You chose that person. But if it's a good person that means you well and them well, so you gotta let him do his thing. Just let him do his thing. Are y'all
Yeah.
willing to do that? Most of y'all not. So the
Yeah.
problem continues.
Yeah. I will add to that. Don't allow your mistake in choosing who his father is or was to be compounded. You know, I'll use myself for an example. You know, my mother did the best she could. I have never held any decision my mother ever made in her life against her because I understand what she was operating with. So when certain situations arose, and I've already chronicled how I've been in foster homes and the impact that those men had on my life, my mother never said a thing when another grown man came around and offered an opinion or correction as to what I was doing. And I always say, shout out to Garth Ellis and Michael. I forgot Michael's last name. Holy shoot. Michael, what's his name from the 13th Street Center? There are a
Thompson.
lot of us young boys. Michael Thompson. There were a lot of us young boys who were on the East Fall Street that came through there that didn't have fathers in the home, and they would instruct us. They would tell us what was appropriate. Stop cursing. This ain't the place to curse at. You got to behave better than that. And when we didn't, we were put outside. We couldn't come back in the center for however long the suspension was. Like I said, Make sure the punishment is appropriate for the age and their understanding. And we got the message. We got the message loud and clear. So by the time that we were 17, 18, and 19, a lot of the stuff that we did that was dumb, we stopped doing because we were given the grace at that age to make mistakes. We were given the room. And when we got older, we said, okay, you know what? I remember when I was 14, I did that and I got put out. I'm not trying to go through that again. I didn't like being ostracized and alienated from my friends because I couldn't go back in there and play basketball. And for people who think it's a small thing, understand that, you know, when we got out of school, got home about 3:30, maybe 3:40, took off the good clothes, put on your basketball gear, and you went to the center and you played basketball from 4 o'clock to 7:30. That was what we did. We hung out in the summertime. You took advantage of the free lunch because the center closed early, so 3 o'clock. So from 3 till about 8, when the street lights came on, we were free to do as we want. But we never did anything that got us into real trouble. We did a lot of dumb stuff. Like I said, it was age appropriate, knocking on doors, running. That was what everybody did back then. But we didn't go around breaking up things in the neighborhood, slashing car tires, breaking up people's windows and things of that nature. And the things we did that got us in trouble, don't do that no more. You know better than that. That was it. It was age appropriate. So now we fast forward to this day and age. You know, we can't get a lot of people, and I'm not mentioning specific genders, we can't get a lot of people to agree on what's acceptable to wear to a prom. And people will say, well, I don't understand why that's a problem. For most people, regardless of their gender, the prom is the first event that most of these kids will have in which they actually are out in a formal setting. They're going to be around their peers. They're going to be eating, drinking, dancing, doing things on their own for the first time in their lives. Most of them, anyway. So you not only do you want them to look the part, you also want them to behave the part. But that's a problem for a lot of them because they've never been exposed to this kind of environment. We talked about, cultural bias in the SAT. Well, what happens when the cultural bias is not on a test and it's in the home? What happens when you never taught a child how to properly use a fork and a knife? And I know how asinine such a statement that seems, but there's a lot of people who don't understand how to properly use a fork and knife. Don't know the difference between a wine glass and a water glass. People say, well, what's the difference? Don't know the difference between a wine glass and a champagne glass. Well, when do you use a champagne glass? Well, what's a water? They don't know all this stuff because they've never been taught. So if they get invited to a business meeting or a lunch meeting and there's a prospective employer there and they take them out just to see how they act when they eat, if they eat like a slob, well, this guy's probably going to say, because I read this somewhere. He said there was a guy that said, you know what? A prospective employee, they'll take them out to eat and they'll judge them based on how they handle themselves at dinner. So just imagine you take somebody to a buffet, your prospective employee, and that's one of the ways you vet your employees. You take them to a buffet and they just all over the place, dirty plates all over the place. They don't think the wait staff, they just a complete mess. You're probably thinking he or she's not a good fit in my company. They're messy, they're loud, they're ill mannered. They're going to upset the fabric of my company. I can't have it wrong. And they might be excellent at what they do. Just their decorum is off. Everything about them says disaster. Everything about them says they are nonconformists to the environment that I'm trying to foster. This is how people get caught up and they think that it doesn't matter. Well, you're right. It doesn't matter until it does matter. This is why teaching them younger how to dress, how to speak, how to conduct themselves in public becomes paramount because that can set the template for their success on the way to being that man or woman that somebody wants to make their wife or some man wants to make her, I'm sorry, on the way for a man to be able to make her his wife, or for a woman to want him to be her husband. But we don't seem to understand that until it's too late. Then you get all these people that show up on TikTok or various other apps talk about there are no good men, no, there are no good women. No, you just can't attract them. That's the problem because they're out there. But the energy you put out, the vibe you put out, says I'm not the one, and nobody's gonna tell you.
That's why it's the importance of teaching young boys, young girls to be unique, to stand out, to be do something different, kind of go against the norm. Like I brought this up a couple shows ago. I asked one of my eighth graders, who was the flyest guy in eighth grade. She couldn't answer it because I know back in our days you would know who that person was easily. You would know who the top three or four. She's like, I don't know, I don't know. And I wanted to say to her, like I said a few shows ago, the reason why, because they all fucking look alike. There's no, you can't tell them apart. As soon as a kid getting engraved in their head that I want to be different, shit, I want to be that kid that's still cool, but still the smartest in the class.
Yeah.
I want to be charismatic. I want to be able to have those skills that I can win over the teachers, win over administration. Some kids got that it factor. You're like, damn, like they got a stranglehold over like no matter what, because they handle their business in school. And it's important. And I know earlier you gave out shout outs to some guys, and um,
Mhm.
it is paramount to even, it made me think about some of the guys that was influential, that kind of shouldered the load in the community, because my father left our household when I was like 10. So in order to get that balance, my grandfather was around, but he worked plant jobs. They worked a lot to try to maintain. For their role was they maintained for everybody back in the days to make sure nobody had any shortcomings, any of their children, grandkids, and all that. So shout out to Granddaddy for being that stand up guy to make sure got everybody situated with their first car. Um, if you needed something far as college or whatever the case is, that they always had something. But it was a lot of guys. So I know you mentioned, Garth. I remember Mr. Michael Thompson. I remember because his sons Delano
Mhm.
and Roger and them
Mhm.
played
Mhm.
football with me. So he was one of the
Yep.
fathers that was
Yep.
always in our ear during the games. Then I think about the Pete Ivies at
Yes.
Gaskill,
Yep.
who used to roast us and get in our case. And he used to work at the community center. We had
Uh-huh.
job training interviews. Tony Miller, shout out to him at Niagara University for putting me on the right path. You think about Michael Hamp for basketball and the boys club. He wasn't at the boys club at the time, but ran like the Randy Smith stuff. Even Brian's Nelson, Mr.
His father.
Thomas, going there getting haircuts. You would get schooled. It wasn't you was just going to get a haircut. He was going to question you and make sure you're on the right path, trying to find out what you was into. And he gave the best cuts, and he was always well respected, clean cut, good good guy. Shout out to all those guys that was an example to us that led us down the right path. And you have to trust in those guys, and a lot of times people don't um have trust because they see one individual that they deal with, so they think everybody they think all men or all women are full of shit. So sometimes you just gotta say, hey, my situation is my situation, but I have to you have to ask around. You have to check out people credibility and say, hey, they stand up. They say what they're gonna say, they do what they're gonna say, and they put in that work. So a lot of that is a part of this whole thing. And I know y'all like, and all this conversation ties in with the dressing and acting your age as well, because we know that a lot of times they say, us, man, we are childish. We play too many games. But I think it's shit. I think it's 50-50 down the thing. I think it might have been lopsided now, but now I think it's 50-50. Both genders play probably a lot of
Yeah.
games, and the reason why, because it's trust. People people play games like that in relationships because it's a trust issue.
Mhm.
So you're not willing to put everything out there because you've been burnt before. So that's what we talk about. You're going into you're going into different relationships with both partners lacking trust, and sooner or later, the shit just implode and it doesn't work out because of the lack of trust.
I also want to give you mentioned Brian's father, Nelson. A lot of people listening to this, and I don't know if Brian remembers. I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge the role that his family, more importantly, his aunt, she's no longer with us, so I must acknowledge his aunt, his father, high school with, and their family played in the role in his aunt being a foster mother to me. So when I talk about my time in foster care, there's a lot of people in this city who have had a hand in rearing me into the man that I am. So Brian, I love Brian dearly, man. I love his brother. His brother is the epitome of what I mean and what David talked about by standing up. His brother was the only person I knew that wore what was called an Indian bow tie, and he wore that proudly through school. And I'll tell you what, he had the flyest chick in the high school go to prom with him, and all the brothers anyway, who graduated from Laso Senior High School in 1992. Shout out to that class. They know who I'm talking about. I ain't even got to say her name. There was some stiff competition, but she was the one fellas was like, damn, yeah, money got her. Now, from what the story was, he fell asleep. Was kind of late getting. It was either prom or something he had fell asleep on. I'm not sure, but we got to get that story straight. But absolutely, Brian, man. So I appreciate y'all family, man, immensely, immensely. Matter of fact, the home that I'm in is on the opposite block of where I stayed with his aunt. So shout out.
Oh, and I can't, and I don't know how he didn't. And I mentioned the boys club.
Knuckles.
Also, Knuckles.
Yes.
You can't leave him out. Whatever. Such instrumental to the boys club, and even he became the coordinator or the supervisors of counseling education at Niagara Falls High School. So without him doing that, I probably wouldn't even got into this during this path. So it's just a lot. So we have to we have to set up our people with people. We have to put them in positions to be successful. Little boys, little girls, we have to find a way, because we not always gonna be here. We not always gonna be here, and unfortunately, when we gone, people can say, "Oh, we're gonna see you again. We're gonna see you later," but the time is now.
Yeah.
The time is now to set everything up to make sure that they're in a better place. Uh, that's what we have to work for to make sure that they're gonna be all right. They're gonna be all right. Because other than that, what's the point? I know a lot of y'all like to do it because social media want to show images, pictures, and all that stuff. Yeah, make sure they drip and all that stuff is nice. Post pictures and all that stuff. But what are you really? What else are you instilling in their heads? You got to come at them full throttle. Uh, but dressing is important too. You want to make sure, but also you want to also have that mindset to say, hey, you don't want to have to. Let's go this route. Everybody wearing those. How about you get this color?
Yeah.
Or how about you get this hairstyle? Everybody wearing the little cruddy little bushes and all that stuff. Why don't you rock the waves? Had them waves flowing, and people like, damn. Because I could guarantee you, girls will look at it like, man, his hair is so nice. His hair is so pretty. Like those waves. Let me touch him whenever. Do something different. Hey, do something different. How about wear some ladies killer, smell good, that you smell good, and they're like, he stay smelling good or whatever. Those little things are important. That is just confidence builders. That we so that's why it's important to have after school year long curriculums that we talked about that need to be put in
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
I could talk it. People were like, well, "Why don't you write it, David? Why don't you do it?" No, I don't feel like doing that shit. I could be a part
It's
of the
work, man.
team.
It's
Yeah,
work.
I could be a part of the team,
A lot of work.
but I think that it's important to bring the right people to the table. And in this day and age, you don't have to be there. You can have Zoom meetings, and you could have conversations, and you could take notes and bring everything to the table to get grants. I think that's the only way. Right. I think that is vital to the future of our community is
Hmm.
having something year round that our young people are part of, because we can't. School is too much. There's too much going on in schools. We can't rely on that, and they can only get so much there. It's the after hours that shit that need to be put in place. And also we got to understand sports ain't always it. Not everybody's gonna make it in sports, so it has to be. And even those athletes need to be a part of these programs, because they can jack their careers up real fast over
Yeah.
mistakes they make and doing um, silly shit. So that's the route we really need to go, is trying to develop something and having weekly stuff that these young people can do and schooling them on every aspect of life. Whether it's shit, some people may decide, hey, let's go grocery shopping. We going out. This is what you should be buying. Hey,
Hmm.
let's go venture off to the bank. Um, get a job. Let's look at your pay stub. Let's see, all those type of activities, real life stuff, real life, because unfortunately, Civil War stuff and things that happen there really don't appeal to kids. They need stuff that they connected to right now that can
Yeah.
touch them and to make them understand and make them prosper, and mock interviews and different things, field trips to prisons and shit like that, group home. That's what they need. They need something that's going to touch them and impact them immediately. Immediately, like shit, like a shotgun or something, like something that's going to hit them on the head real
Yeah, like I said,
fast.
thunderclap. It's immediate.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
immediate, and it leaves an impression. They say, "Yo, what the?" And and by the time it happens and it's done, there's nothing you can change about it. Everybody remembers a thunderclap that sounds like somebody had something catastrophic happen next to them, and it changes you. Now, the change may not be permanent, but you never forget it, and you say, "Okay, I don't ever want to hear a thunderclap like that ever again." Even though there's nothing we can do about it, we are aware of it, and that's what David is talking about. Once you get an awareness, an awareness established into your thought process, your psyche, you do one or two things. If you like it, you'll repeat it. If you don't, you'll stay the hell away from it. And that's what David's talking about. There are certain things that I've seen that when I see them start to develop, I'll say, okay, you know what? I know where this is going. I know where this is going to end up. If you with your people, you say, hey, yo, if y'all not going, I got to get out of here because I already know how this is going to end. I don't want to be around for the ending. And they say, well, yo, what's wrong? You say, I don't want to be here. I'm uncomfortable. And if they don't want to leave, you leave. Guaranteed that they're going to say, man, I should have followed your lead. I should have got the hell out of there when you did. I didn't know any better. So next time, you got to pull my coattail. I might be hesitant. I might be reticent. But just say, remember such and such? And I'll say, yeah, let's get the fuck up out of here. Because if you've been around certain situations long enough, you know when they start to break down. And the first thing you need to do is get your people and get the hell out of Dodge. I've seen some situations. I'm just like, okay, you know what? The energy in here has changed. The vibe in here has changed. It's about to get real reckless, real quick. Let's get up out of this piece before shit hit the wall. And you're gone. You don't need to be around to see the aftermath. You can always read about it. And nowadays with cell phones, hell, you might be able to see it. And you can say, see, this is where we were standing and that happened. Get up out of there. Don't hang around for that mess. Don't do it.
Yeah, I've had situations, and I shared this before. I can talk about it now. It was 30-some years ago. And there's just one example. People from Niagara Falls might know. It was a time, Andrew Wiggs shop, spot on Main Street. Everybody was hitting it up. Everybody was going in there, going through the roof, stealing shit, coming through. I never went in there. I was supposed to be the lookout. And the one thing that was said was, and some of y'all listening, like, oh, you snitching. I don't give a fuck. And that was so long ago, whatever. The statute of limitation is gone. And they was like, you have to, if you see something, come whistle. Well, I ain't know how to whistle. So that's what y'all first mistake was. And I told y'all I know how to whistle like that. But yeah, I still wanted to go in there. So they went in there. They would come up with stuff. It was like sort of like generic stuff, but at the time, fake gazelles. And I've talked about this before, but I never would go in there because remember I talked about earlier in the show, I had a voice of reason in my head, like my grandmother, my mother's voice, and all that. Like, you better not, you only could take it so far. Don't go in there. And I never went in there. There was times we had a master plan at 6 a.m. A couple of my buddies hit it up. They came to my house. I seen when they came. They knocked on my window. I remember I always make fun of it, balled up in the fetal position. I was balled up in the fetal position, acting like I was asleep because I knew I didn't want to live that lifestyle. Well, they went. They were successful. They got garbage bags of stuff. They went to school to sell the stuff. And they even talk shit to me. Oh, if you would have woke up, if you'd have been here, you would have had all this. Man, I don't give a damn about all that shit. I could get that from my family. But it was real. Like the pressures and influences that you had that, like I said earlier, I don't believe some of these young people, they have that voice of reason to say, this is not what I want to do. So a lot of that stuff kind of saved me on my path because we used to get into some stuff. And you would never know it because I was always, like, again, quiet in school, did my thing. But it's when you're out of school and you're in your community that a lot of stuff takes
Mhm.
place. And one thing that hit me, that the word got out to other areas, and people decided, oh, they knew about Andrew Wiggs shop. You could go up on the roof, come down. But then Andrew, the owner, ended up one day putting an alarm in there. And that shit went off. And somebody went in there, panicked, and he went through the glass, ran through the
Mm.
glass, got cut up and all that. He ended up dying.
Hey.
And this somebody that was our age at the time, 13, 14. He ended up dying. I said to myself, that would have been me. I'd have fucking panic if that alarm went off. So that voice of reasoning never led me to go in there, because if I would have went in there, would have been that time that we went in there and that shit would have went off. I'd have fucking panic and jumped through the glass. He got cut up, ran a little bit, ended up collapsing, ended up dying at 14, 15. This is the
Yeah, that's not a good
importance
person
of,
way.
yeah, a lot of stuff, man. A lot be going on. The importance of why we have these conversations.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's an unforgiving world, and as Kevin and BGS, our opponents say, the world does not owe you understanding. That is for your family, the people who raised you, the people who guide you. Those are the ones that need to understand you. Everybody else,
Hold it down for a
yeah, everybody else, they don't need to understand your plight. So when you have these kids out here who who might go awry and they're saying you don't understand, you can respond one or two ways. You can say, you know what, you're absolutely right. I may not understand what you're going through, but does that give you the right to destroy or put yourself in harm's way against something else? So now you take that away from them, because now it gets to a point where they know what they're doing. They know the potential outcome of what they're doing. So now you're making them make a decision for their future. Do you want to have this outcome or do you want to have that outcome? It's like I said earlier with the six-figure man. What outcome do you want? Make that child sit down and write it out what they want for their future. And ultimately, what they want for their future, they have to plan for that from that day. Because if they have no plan, they're subject to do anything, they're subject to take any path. And to them, it don't matter because they don't have a path written out for success. This is part of the danger, that a lot of communities, and it's not just black communities, a lot of communities are facing because the parents don't have a plan for success for their child. They're just winging it. They're day to day. Well, I made it so my kids are going to make it. That's not necessarily the case because it's not the same world. The world that you grew up in as a kid no longer exists for your children. Jobs are scarce, inflation, the difficulty in securing housing, food, the basic necessities, all of that is going to change. Artificial intelligence is coming on, it's going to eliminate so many jobs. We're dealing with the influx of immigration. It is going to get really, really competitive in the job market. It's going to get really, really competitive when we look at the global job market. It's going to get really competitive for women looking for men to hitch their wagon up to. You think it's as short as a good men now? There's a projection that's saying that by the year 2030, half of the women in the United States of America will be single and childless. Now, you add to that the fact that they can't find employment. What do you think is going to happen? How do you think these women gonna respond? You think OnlyFans is flooded now? As BGS say, the price of sex is gonna be cheaper than a cup of coffee. Is that what you want for your young daughter? Do you want your young daughter peddling her wares for pennies? Or do you want her somewhere where she's gonna be safe, potentially with your grandchildren being cared for? This is the reality that we're facing. So people, gird yourself, plot and plan for your children so they become successful, so they're not out here on the streets struggling to eat, live.
Yeah, it's going to be some trying times, and as you can see right now, we're in a dilemma. We it's a lot going on. We're in a dilemma. Like we got shit probably for this presidential thing. We got people that's probably gonna run again. They're like 80 some years old. Well, damn near 80. Like that. It, something something is wrong with the whole thing. It's so much hypocritical stuff toward that because if I'm at my regular job, Herb at his regular job, when we at 60, 62, or something like that, you're supposed to be on your way out. You're
Yeah,
too old to do it. So how the fuck is somebody like 81, 82, and then someone about damn near 80 can run a country with all the stuff that's going on? And you think
yeah,
about, it's not like you get sharper mentally when you get older. Stuff start declining. How could they be the head? So you mean to tell me ain't nobody that's 38, 40, 42, 44, sharp, still young, could do the job? Come on, man. Come on. Barack got in, got out at the right time, did those 8 years, and now he living his life like this gold. And like he, no matter what
yeah,
he do, he paid. He like shit. Hey, my
yeah,
family good. We eating good, man. We straight. Ain't got to
yeah,
worry about nothing for the rest of our lives. Eh,
yeah,
so
yeah.
it's crazy times. Period.
America's definitely at not just America, the world. You know, we're at a crossroads. You know, do we revert back to, and some people will call this, conservatism. I'm not trying to get into labeling, you know, humanity and where we at. I'm too busy concerned about what I'm going to do in terms of trying to get to retirement because I'm 52. Hell, that's my goal is ultimately to set myself up for retirement. Like I said, the America and the world at large is at a crossroads. We are reaching a point to where we have to ask ourselves, what kind of world do we want going forward? Do we want a world that's going to be in a constant state of combat? Because we already see what's going on in the Ukraine, Crimea. We already see what's going on, and if you're abreast of world politics, we see what's going on in the South Pacific with the rise of China as a global power. And China, make no mistake, China is going to put their imprint on the world. It's just a matter of when and how, because they've already started the Belt and Road Initiative. If you're not familiar with it, please look into that. And then you got some other things that are coming along. They're expanding their navy, so it's only going to be a matter of time before it it gets real. It's only going to be a matter of time, and the only question is, how real is it going to get? Is it going to get real enough to where there's going to be armed conflict, or will cooler heads prevail? And by cooler heads, I'm saying, are there going to be some treaties made, some concessions made on both sides, so that the global system that we know now can continue to flourish? Or are banks going to collapse? Is this going to be another depression, the likes that which there were about 100 years ago? Now we don't know. So it's As much as we stay away from politics on this particular platform, it's front and center for everyone. So take heed.
Yeah. And let me read. What's good, brother Ray? He said the Peter Pan syndrome, also referred to as Peter Pan complex, is a condition in which adults continue to hold on to childhood tendencies. Wow, that's crazy. And Peter Pan. And he said, too many brothers are still in their 30s and 40s and still dressed like teenagers when they wear throwback jerseys, Jordans, and was it
Flat bill
flat
baseball
bill
caps.
baseball caps and backwards. Something is wrong with that behavior. When I was a child, I spoke as a child, I understood as a child, I thought as a child, but when I became a man, I put away childish things. Corinthians 13:11.
Yeah.
So that's just another perspective. And when you think about it, there, like, it's there's let's not get it wrong. There's nothing wrong with a man wearing jerseys or whatever the case is, but time and situation is the important thing. Like, it's not something that you like. Okay, this is my everyday fit and all that stuff. You go into games, or you go into a cookout or something like that, and you just being comfortable. But it's when it becomes a part of your everyday thing. That's the issue. Remember, we always talk about balance. You always got to have a nice balance to what you do, and a lot of times people can't associate with. It's not appropriate to wear this. Oh, I shouldn't be wearing this. Or when I wear this, am I still bebopping around like 17 or 18? You got to have a different mindset when you in it. You got to have a different mindset. See, a lot of times you have these throwback 60s and 70s and 80s parties, and people get their outfits on, but some of y'all whole aura is about, as Ray said, that Peter Pan syndrome. You never evolve from that. Your whole mindset is still in that you're still in that complex that I got this on, I'm still moving like that.
Yeah.
Dude, you 60. You still 60 bebopping around. Sit your old decrepit ass down somewhere and evolve. That's all.
And the funny thing is, I want to drop this in here, as we wrap up. Musical taste, and I know people are gonna say, "What? Well, what does musical taste have to do with any of this?" I'm a huge old school rap person, but that's not the only genre of music I listen to. As I get older, I transition more into jazz. A lot of people don't like jazz. That's okay. I listen to mood music. I listen to old school R&B. I listen to old folk music, alternative. But when you start to shift in maturity, generally speaking, your musical tastes shift with it because that denotes a change in how you think, what you value, and ultimately what you want. See, jazz transitions into, for me, at least personally speaking, jazz transitions into a different way of thinking, a different lifestyle. You look at people who tend to listen to jazz, they're laid back, they're much more mellow, they're much more acutely aware, and they're sharper in a lot of ways that a lot of their contemporaries aren't. So they move differently. They hang out with a different crowd. Their critical thinking gets to a place where it isn't tethered. And what I mean by isn't tethered, they may hang out with a group of people, but they don't always think alike the group. So people say, well, damn, when did you change positions on this? And you simply say, it's not that I've changed positions. I just learned to listen to the opposition. And then I ask, is what the opposition saying that bad that I shut them down? Or do I need to listen to what they're saying? That's why I always close with growth and understanding occurs in the gray area, because that's where the growth is between A and C is B. But you can't get from A to C until you reach B. And if you do, there's a gap there. So what's in the gap that you're missing that helps you bridge between those two? Because that's David just talked about balance. It just happened to be B for balance. You have to strike a balance between those forces. And when you do, you become a force and people will start to gravitate to you because you've proven to be neutral. You're no longer taking a side. So you're saying, okay, hey, look, this is what this side is saying. This is what this side is saying. Let's see if we can't come to a happy medium. This is why people go to arbitration. You want to be the arbiter of things that are equal. You want to be the arbiter between good and bad. So you find that sweet spot. And when you start to flourish, you'll find yourself operating more in that area.
And that's true. And that's why, when I look on here, we having these conversations. I figure at this point, it should be more people viewing it, but they don't. But I don't sweat it. I don't get discouraged because I know somebody's viewing it and somebody's taking heed to it. Because no matter what, it's still growing. But it's some people that I know from my hometown, from the current city that I'm in, should be a part of these conversations. But I don't know what the hell. A lot of people are so busy into reality TV, folktale type shit that's what they caught up on, and then they wonder why their mindset never changes, or why they keep attracting the same individuals, because they don't want to have shit. To me, this is open forum conversation. Ain't
Yeah.
nobody pretending to be no expert on any of this. We putting out ideologies, concepts, personal experiences, or whatever the case is. Want the people to chime in, get comfortable. That they say, "Hey, send me the link. I got something to share to that," and that's what it's about. Yeah, I don't want to have these conversations. What y'all want to do is like, oh, I went to church and I listened to the pastor, listened to the word. But the only problem with that is you don't fucking get to respond back. You like to
Right.
mute. You listen to someone else and you don't get to say anything. And I'm not trying to discourage people from going or not, but if you think about it, how can you be? How can you grow if you can't give feedback to know, like, this is what I need, or you can't bring examples of it? Hey, I went through this week. Speak on that. Everything is structured. They have, this is the word that we're going to speak on, and this is what we're going to talk about today. And you just sit there like you in self-contained special ed classes. Can't say nothing, don't have enough mental fortitude to even challenge that. Like, hey, wait a minute, I don't agree with that. And you just sit there. How is that helping you?
Yeah.
Seriously, think about it. How is that helping you when you somewhere in the platform that you can't even say anything, or you can't share? You go there and like, oh my God, man, you should have been there today. That word was powerful. Really? I've been to church before, and I heard stuff, and I said, okay, it resonated with me, but I know how to connect things together to motivate me. A lot of times people don't know how to take something and say, this is going to make my life a little better, or whatever the case. Y'all just sitting there like mutes. Come on in the counselor's corner and talk. We need to talk. I got some couches. I just ordered some couches for y'all to come sit on, so we can talk, man. Because shit, yeah, sooner or later y'all will be like, damn, we should have listened. We should have listened. But we know how it is because when Herb was talking about Kevin Samuels years ago, now I see people from Niagara Falls and all that posted about. I'm like, ain't this a bitch? He been talking about this for years. Now now they catching on, want to
Mhm.
put out memes and stuff about stuff or post videos. We've been talking about this. Where y'all been? Where y'all been? Like, how these it's that time. Do something different. You get different results. And I'm not trying to use this as a plug for y'all to come because no matter what, you know how I do. We come on here faithfully.
Yeah.
Shit, out of 52 weeks out of the year, at least 45,
Yeah.
46 Monday nights here.
Even during football season,
Yeah,
y'all
that's
know how
what we
I am
do.
about my football.
What Vicky got to say. My rock
Yeah,
music never dies. Her rock on. Oh
absolutely.
yeah, the music is key. I tell people all the time. I love like the Elton Johns and
Yeah.
Phil Collins and all that stuff. Even when I'm riding and I don't have a bunch of stuff downloaded to my phone and I'm in the car with my mother. She be like, "How do you know these songs? Like, how do you know
Oh,
this stuff?" And it might be like what it might be white songs or whatever. I was like, I'm
yeah,
versatile. I
yeah.
just don't listen to everything. I understand. Be around different surroundings. So I kind of know this music. She was like, just be shaking her head like, like, hey,
Yeah, man.
man.
It's that was the one thing I can say about living in foster homes, especially when I was in Arcot. Um, I remember and shout out to Kenneth Badge. I have to get to that question about the 20 albums, man. He asked a very odd question. He said, "Name 20 albums," and people, you can do this of your own free will if you want to. For me, it's kind of difficult because I didn't listen to a lot of albums. I listened to a lot of songs from a lot of people. But getting back to what I was saying about being in the foster home and archive, that was when I got a heavy intro into rock and roll. So I got to hear about groups like Motley Crue, AC/DC, Van Halen, Def Leppard. The one group I took liking to was Van Halen. And that album, 1984, if you're a Van Halen fan, I don't even have to tell you about the album. You already know that album is certified classic. But Panama,
Was that Jump? Was
yes,
that on there?
yes,
Okay.
sir. And
All
see,
right.
and there you go. I didn't even have to say anything else.
Mm,
That album,
yeah, I
man.
remember
Listen,
that. Yeah.
I wasn't even a rock fan, but when when the intro to Panama came on or the jump, you just you were just locked in. It was just like doom, 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 doom. You the synthesizers, that whole 80s rock genre, was classified by that synthesizer. But like you said, Phil Collins was a mainstay on Miami Vice. Elton John, you I don't know how people cannot like Elton John. And then when you go from Elton John, he leaks into people like Boy George and Culture Club. It didn't matter what ethnicity you was with Culture Club. Everybody knew Carmen Chameleon. It didn't matter what proclivity Boy George was. You liked the music. It spoke to you in a different way. Me, I'm a huge Simon and Garfunkel fan. I love them. As a matter of fact, they're coming to Niagara Falls, the casino in Niagara Falls, Ontario. I might go see them. I don't know. It depends on
Mhm.
how my schedule shakes out. But I listen to all kinds of music. I got introduced to ragtime, Janis Joplin when I was in the 6th grade. I had two teachers, and I can't remember the one, and I really felt bad for her. She's a good teacher, but our class was so full of derelicts that they made this woman scream so much to the point where she had vocal cord damage. And I don't know if it was
Mhm.
necessarily from screaming out our class, but she had a mic installed to amplify her voice because she had screamed so much. And she played an upright piano, would play music for us, music that I had never heard, coming from Black America. This was just music that we didn't listen to. So when I got to the sixth grade, I had a musical teacher who played an acoustic guitar. And I didn't know any of this music that he was playing. I'm like, and I'm the only black kid in the class, let alone the goddamn school, because it was a rural area and there's only two black families in the whole place, or at least in that conclave. And I'm just like, dude, I don't know any of this music. And I would sit there in class, like, looking around everybody else listening. I'm like, what is this? Man, this ain't music. This ain't Cool in the Gang. This ain't the Sugar Hill Gang. This ain't Michael Jackson. This, what y'all got me listening to? But that was my exposure in the folk music, in the rock. Yes, I heard some Billy Joe, which is probably one of the few people I knew. But in time, I got to like the music. I grew to the point now where I'm just like, it's a part of my fabric now. So I embrace it. But a lot of us don't get that cultural exposure. So we can't travel outside of our local area. We go somewhere else where they're playing something different. We shut down. We're recluse in a world full of other people. They're laughing, eating, drinking, and joking. And here we are sitting in our Jordans, our throwback jerseys with a hat on sideways, and we're not involved.
Kind of reminded me this past Saturday, once the game ended with Binghamton and Extreme, they played what's the song? Frank Sinatra, her. After the Yankees win, they
Start
played a
spreading the
song.
news.
Yeah,
Start
so they
spreading the news.
played that,
New
and I
York,
was
New
just
York.
rocking back and forth, and my
Yeah.
aunt was looking like, she called me Maine, like, what you know about this, Maine? I'm like, oh, I know this, whatever. You watch the Yankees, they play this all the time, man, and you have a connection to certain things, and it doesn't have to. The people that sing it don't have to look like you, but it's
Right.
some significant value to you. I'm a Yankees fan, and I'm like, okay, they playing this. So all I think about is the Yankees, Mo Rivera, and all of them. Once they
Mm-hmm.
win, and when they was winning World Series, yo, that's all right, whatever. We was on the uh, wrong end of the stick this time, but that song just bring you jubilation, especially
Yeah. And you know what
being
the funny thing
born from New
about that
York.
song is? I think of two other songs. One, of course, is Alicia Keys and Jay-Z, New York, Empire
Yeah.
State of Mind. That's a classic. So I remember I was in Toronto one time. I think it was birthday weekend, and they started playing that shit. Man, I done lost my mind because I'm from New York. They represent New York, and it's not just not the city; it's the state. Then there's another song by a great big world, and I can't remember the title of the song, where he talks about, I will bend every light in the city and make sure it's shining on you. I hear that and I think, yeah, that's New York. That's New York State. We gonna make this place shine. But it's hard for people to grasp, and I'm not bragging on the state of New York because every state has their moment of glory. But it's hard for an individual to want to be in the spotlight when they're uncomfortable. And for a lot of people, that uncomfortableness stems from the way they look. And not this, this, this. And yes, I'm wearing cufflinks if you can't see them. They can't fit in. So when you can't fit in with the people who are there and you can't stand out because you're comfortable, you become part of the background. As David said, when he steps into a place, he wants to be noticed. And that's a good thing because that means you're comfortable. Get comfortable with who you are. Develop a personal style and embrace it. Celebrate your differences. That way, when you go somewhere and somebody notices you, they'll say, "Hey, you know what? I remember you. You were wearing this, this, and this. How you been?" That
Yeah.
is your chance to make a genuine human connection.
You can't be afraid. You can't be afraid. And it's shocking to me that I'm like, okay, I can't believe I stepped out with some of the things I put on. But over the years, you're like, the fuck? I don't want to look like everybody else. So I'm gonna
Mhm.
take a chance. I'm gonna take a chance. And when you take those chances and you do something different, and long as you got everything coordinated right, people are like, yo, they gonna remember you. And you may have some people come up to you and say, yo, I like that. Where you get that from? Or whatever the
Mhm.
case is, because you're putting yourself at a different level. You're distancing yourself from other people because everybody else looking similar. And if with people watching, you're really thinking, they're like, yo, that person right there, shit, they the man, they the woman.
Mhm.
They're
Mhm.
on a different level of thinking. So that's why you got to step out. So now, I mean, I only wear, I'll wear stuff on the weekends because I know my students can't handle it. So I never come in to work with plaid pants or anything like that. Like, some leisure like pants in the springtime. They can't handle it. They can't handle it. So I've showed a couple students pictures like, oh, that's what I had on. Why you got that on? And I was like, y'all don't know nothing about this. Y'all don't know.
Yeah.
But you got to step out and do stuff. Because a lot, you got to step out and do something different. But a lot of y'all like to look, y'all like to be Twin City for when y'all go out. Yeah, that's not me. What got some comments? I feel dress what you feel comfortable in. I feel dress what makes you comfortable. No question about that. But also, you got to dress and have a uniqueness to your style and be comfortable of wearing something. Because a lot of times you might stroll like, I like that, but you wouldn't wear it because no one else has it. Because there's a lot of shit pop up on social media, or you
Mhm.
type in something and it comes up and you're like, yo, that's tight. But you don't have enough confidence
Yeah.
to wear. And I've shared this story before with one of my APs, assistant principals. He was just on here a couple of weeks ago. I remember me coming up to the floor, third the third floor, and I would come up there sometimes, but I wouldn't be up there all the time. I'd be in my office because kids was coming in there, and I had on like a sweater with a bunch of different colors and all that. Like, oh, gee, lover, you gotta have confidence to wear something like that to work. And I just looked at him. Remember, I said in the beginning of the show, I looked him up and down, and I said, "Get you some," and I walked away.
Mhm.
Simple as that. All he could do, him and his teacher, is laugh. Get you some. I
Yeah.
wear the fuck I want to wear here. Within reason, if it ain't no sexually explicit message or whatever, if it's a different color, I can come in with pink khakis or whatever the case is, because that's what I do. But you got to believe in yourself to do it.
Right.
A lot of
Yeah.
y'all don't believe in yourselves. Y'all don't have enough confidence. Y'all say y'all do, but y'all really don't. Because when you have confidence in yourself, you can wear what the fuck you want to wear, and whatever hat, whatever style, whatever you can, and you can step in any arena and be like, "Yo, I'm that dude. I'm that
Right.
chick." So that's where you got to get to. We're gonna get some closing comments. We're gonna get out of here. What's these comments coming through? I feel dress what makes you comfortable. People dress with their personality. Yeah, we talked about that earlier. You do, but I can say that people really don't. People dress with people dress based on what they see, based on everybody else's personalities. There's there's very few people that's like an originator that create their own styles and do things that other people don't do. People fit in trends. Hey, we ain't heard we talk about it. I wouldn't even I would have hats. Herb called me out on the hat game, and then caught me out on the hat game. And then I said, "Oh, okay, all right." But then this shit imploded that everybody you ain't never seen with a hat on at all. Everybody got a fucking hat on, posted up pictures and all that. Stop. Stop, stop, stop. If it ain't in you, it ain't gonna work for you.
Right.
And that's what people do. That's what people do. Like I knew Herb had hats and all that stuff. He called me out. You're like, oh, I said, all right, okay, fine. But see, that's the competitiveness in me, and it wasn't nothing personal. It died down, and we went about our business as far as that.
Right.
But a lot of people, that's what they do. They don't just to their personality. Their personality is built on what other people' personality is because they don't have that confidence. So whoever this is, because I can't tell, it says Facebook user, knock it off with that one. Maybe you are, but I don't know about everybody else.
No, that's
I
Nuki.
tried to say, oh, Nuki. Oh,
Yeah.
oh, Nuki. Nuki, I already know you got your own personality. You got your own style.
Yeah.
You do what the fuck you want to do. That's you.
Right.
So, Nuki, that's nothing personal towards you. I know you do what you want to do. I can see your style with your shade, the glasses, and all that stuff, and just period.
Right.
You comfortable in your skin no matter what. And it ain't, ain't too many people like that. And you have to agree with that one. Ain't
Especially
too many people
women
comfortable with who they are.
Yes, especially women. Women tend to
you
be.
said I love shades. You do. Yeah.
Yeah, women tend to be hive-minded. So this is why, and I'll tell guys this: if you want to know if a female is hive-minded, all you have to do is look at her nails. A lot of women will have their nails styled in the same manner that a lot of other women do. You rarely see a lot of women with French tips or just solid nail colors. Those are the ones who are consistent, level-headed, and the ones you probably want to make however you want to do it. I'm not going to get into it. Those are the ones you probably want to hang out with. Whatever you do, whether it's Netflix and chill or whatever, those are going to be your solid women. The ones with all these ostentatious colors and long nails, beware. Caveat emptor. That's all I'm going to say.
That shit. Like chalk screeching on the board with all that shit. Oh, like stop. Like stop. Because you can have a solid nail home, but you can wear whatever color you can have basic nails, but can wear whatever color you want to wear. Oh, that shit, like for real.
Yeah.
Like certain employers just they ain't for that stuff, whatever. You ain't in no medical office and your shit in the first person you come to and you type in this shit and your shit lime green. Then again, I don't know. I don't work in that profession. And some of y'all may say, oh, that's a lie. My nails is this color right there. My doctor don't say anything and all that. But luckily you got a good one, or not a good one, maybe a passive one. But some of the old school ones, they kind of like, no. And we talked about this before, even with like sports profession, the New York Yankees. You can have whatever you want to have before you come there. But once your ass get there, you ain't going to have no long beard. You ain't going to have no hair all down. All that shit going to get cut off because you want to be part of that brand. Because if you're part of that brand, you create your own brand. Yeah. And then you can do what you want. So to get in, that's like sitting at the table. If you get in at the Yankees table, shit, you become like Derek Jeter now. They create their own tables, but y'all don't understand that. But I ain't going to tell you. Let Pastor tell y'all that because he like y'all with them green nails to scratch his back and shit, whatever. After church hours, I'm being bad now.
No, but you know, is what you said about the Yankees. It is absolutely spot on. And people need to understand that. And this is something we talked about earlier. The Yankees have it in every contract that every player signs with them. No facial hair, no mustache, no goatee, no sideburns, no beard, no nothing. That's standard. That is coming through the organization. So even if you play for the AAA team, which happens to be the Scranton Wilton-Berry Yankees, no facial hair. That starts out through the organization. So you being groomed, the people may not like the word, like that word or the connotation, but sorry, that's what it is. You being groomed. So when you get to the big teams, when you get to the big leagues, you already know what's expected. I talked about Tom Landry earlier and what the players did when they went on the road: suit, coat, dress shirt. That was the bare minimum. And we saw this with the NBA when they, after Iverson came in, David Stern implemented a dress policy for all the players on the sideline. They didn't like it, but David Stern understood something. He understood an image. People didn't like this. Said, well, the basketball is turning into a thug league and this and this and this. David Stern heard, listened, and reacted. He said, okay, listen, these people pay our salaries. There wouldn't be $100 million contracts if we don't have corporate sponsorship. So we want corporate sponsorship. We got to take the fighting out. You rarely see fights now. You don't see the swagged out jewelry on the sidelines. You don't see the sweatpants. You see suits, ties, button up shirts. There's a reason why imagery works. There's a reason why we talk about the way people dress, because it conveys a certain factor. If you don't understand, try to get into it. Even we can take rap moguls. We can take I can't remember his name right now, the guy that created Fubu. When he's on Shark Tank, what does he look like? Damon something, I can't remember his name. He is one of the best dressed men on there. And we're talking about men who dress well. Him, Kevin O'Leary, the men are sharp. Very well tailored suits. Speak well, dress well, look the part. They hated Kevin Samuels when they talked about it, but they're sharing his clips, they're sharing his information. There's a reason why women liked him.
Okay, hold on to that thought.
Even despite the things that he was saying, they wanted to be with him. They'd have sold their arms. I don't care what they say. Behind the scenes, if he'd have knocked on the door, they'd have said, come on in. The way you dress matters, men. I don't care what a female is telling you. You will be hard pressed to find a woman who will not look twice, no matter where he is, at a well-dressed man, even if he might be quote unquote out of place. Because they say sometimes you can be overdressed. Yes, that might be true. You might be overdressed for a particular situation, but you're going to get attention because people are going to want to know who you are and why you are dressed like you are. I'm not saying you need to wear a suit, dress shirt, and tie everywhere. We touched on this earlier. You like to wear ties, learn how to tie a bow tie out of a straight tie. There's tutorials on YouTube that'll do it. You don't want to wear this kind of hat. I understand. Go get you a nice little fedora like Dave was talking about earlier. Go get you a nice little Kango. Go get you a nice little apple bobber. Find out what your style is if you like to wear hats and you don't want to wear something like this because it'll keep in heat. And when you somewhere that might be a little stuffy, you want to be able to have something that allows for airflow. But you got that hat style. There's a ton of different styles of hats out there that you can wear. Find something that fits your style, personality. As Kevin used to say, fit over fashion. You might have to experiment. You might have to take this one out, try this one. You might have to ask a trusted woman, hey, what looks better on me? It's got to be somebody you trust, though, not somebody you're intimate with. Just somebody who trusts, who's going to give you an honest opinion and an honest assessment of what that hat looks like on you and what you're trying to translate. David has a million and one different kinds of hats that he wears. Me, I'm usually a bowler, Godfather, or my regular fedora. I got a fedora that's the brim is about 2.25 inches. That's my style personality. But I can wear any one of those anytime, with a regular suit or as I said earlier, my fisherman hat. That's my style personality. So when I go out one day, I might be chilling. I'm sitting laying in the cut. That's what I'm feeling like that day. Right now, I'm feeling kind of classy, so I get the bowler. Find what it is that you rock with, man, and rock with it.
So, as I had left out, and I was thinking, like, even based on your profession, like,
Mhm.
and we're getting ready to close it out soon. Even like with the kids, one of the things, you have to find a connective piece to it, and you have to, for me, working in middle school, you have to let them know that you noticed them. And I always
Right.
give this example with the one young lady. She's probably like in 11th grade now. Never spoke to her. Used to see her, and one day I was on cafeteria duty, and she came up, and I said, "What's your name?" And then she told me her name. I said, "You got the best foot game in the school, bar none." And then she like smiled. Believe me. After that, she came to see me every day. I wasn't even her
Mhm.
counselor, but she would come in there just chill because I noticed her. And and for me at the middle school level, we talk about clothing, we also talk about expression and words they say. So I got I got a couple of my students real good. This one girl, like they say stuff to me, and I ain't really pay attention to it. I'll be talking, getting on their case, and they would say something. It was two of them in mine, but one of them they were like, "Boy, Dookie," and like pretty much what it meant was like, "Whatever, Mister Glover, shut the hell up. You don't know what you're talking about." So, and usually when they say that, they walk away because I got on them or something about their grades, like, "Boy, Dookie." So they walked out. So one girl came in. She like, "Mr. Glover, can I get a pass?" And I'm like, "For what? Like you wasn't with me, so why would I be writing you a pass to another teacher?" Ah, but what happened was I went to the one teacher because I left my computer in there, and I was knocking on the door. And she didn't answer the door. And then I knocked on it again. And I was out there waiting, and she never came to the door. So now I'm coming here to give you a pass. And I said, "Girl, Dookie." Like, gotta get the hell out of here. She cracked. All she could do was laugh. And then I just
Laugh,
told
yeah.
her, I said, "You know what? I said, this just lets you know that I pay attention to what y'all say. I never said anything when y'all walk out my office and say, boy, Dookie." Uh, first of all, I would address that. Why you calling me a boy? But I said,
Yeah.
that's the little slang thing. And I'll just let y'all have it. But let you know that. Then I said, what do that mean anyway? Oh, Mr. Glover, just pretty mean. Like, be quiet. You just talking. You don't know what you saying and all that stuff. So when I brought it back to her attention, like, oh, you late for class. Now you want to come see me to get a pass. Girl, Dookie. She was cracking up, whatever. Oh, why you bite my words? Why you bite my words? So it's a lot of connective pieces to it all. And one of the things, and shout out to Brian, said it's about a form of expression, the way you dress, and people kind of view you, and they look at you. Sometimes people go out and they know you're gonna be there, and people kind of can't wait to see what you gonna have on.
Yeah, buddy. Yes, sir.
Can't wait to see what you have on. Or sometimes people study what you have on social media, and you post pictures and you see similar things, and you're like, interesting.
Hmm.
People watching you. That's a good thing. But people say, "Oh, imitation is the best form of flattery." Nah, give me credit for what I am. I don't want to do twins. I don't want to do twins. So if I gotta wear
Yeah.
something crazy as hell, I'll do it. I do it. So
It's funny you say that. I remember class day. Me and my man Shino, shout out to Shino. We had our outfits made. I had a tan suit made with black polka dots. Nobody, and I mean nobody in the senior class looked like me. He had a suit made in the image of Nino Brown from I can't remember what movie was. Nobody looked like us. We was like, ain't nobody, because you had a lot of people that was going out getting tuxes and things. We was like, no, fuck that. We gonna get ours handmade. So we 100% original. And matter of fact, when I matter of fact, I'm thinking I'm gonna dig that up tonight and I'm gonna post it in the counselor's corner. Matter of fact, I'm gonna do a photo drop in the counselor's corner so y'all can see just what your man talking about when I say I got the drip like the kids is saying it. And y'all can judge and rate them how you want to. I'm not gonna be bothered, but I'm gonna do a photo drop tonight for the group just so y'all can see how I really get down.
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with that. We appreciate it, whatever. But yeah, so this conversation was a show was meant to open up and talk about ways that we express ourselves, ways that you dress, ways it determines your behavior or whatever the case is. Sometimes, we all know that sometimes the way you dress, you might feel that way. Like I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn today, especially the days if you running late and you have to throw on something. You gonna have on that I don't give a damn outfit, and
Yeah.
it's gonna permeate throughout. Like he or she own one. So just be mindful of that. But when we connect it to the youth, I always will encourage them to try to find some uniqueness in what they do, because we already know that also when you, especially like little boys and even little girls at this time, when you say, "Oh, I just want to throw on a black hoodie and walk around the neighborhood," shit, you don't know what you're about to be charged with.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
don't know, and they can pin something on you so fast that, or he had a book bag and all that. That's why they try to implement those laws that, you can't come only two students at a time, or they don't allow this or they don't allow that. You want to, as parents, you want to teach your children, like, you ain't, where you going with this book bag? Don't be walking around with this hoodie on all the damn
Right.
time, because these kids walk around hoodies in the house and shit. Like you can't even
Yeah.
see their face, whatever, or they don't want to put on a winter coat. They just want to wear hoodies. That's a parental thing. Like if you don't get your ass up, because I'm the one gonna have to take care of you when you sick.
Right.
You have to step it up. We have to step it up, and we have to oversee a lot of things. And it's a process. It's a tough process. It's a lot to go on with that, but you got to be built for the job. Well, we about to get some closing comments. I could talk all night because I'm on vacay to Tuesday. But you know what? For most of this time, I got a couple like online classes that I want to knock out. I want to knock out one of them. Oh, Henry, you was that old John Henry?
No, it's the movie that I'm gonna pop in tonight. I'm not quite sure what it's about. I like westerns mainly because they look well. They look like some gangsters is coming in take care of some business. Just like the remake of the Magnificent Seven. Each one of those men had a uniform for their particular purpose. Like I said, I'm kind of on this turn of the 20th century, post Civil War movie binge. So I watched the movie night before last called Ironclads. And for those of you who aren't military inclined, this is going to be boring to you, but it was about the fight between the the converted USS Monitor named the CSS Virginia against the ironclad the USS Monitor. If you like that kind of stuff, check it out. Ironclads is on YouTube for free. But I'm watching Old Henry. I will let you know how the movie is. It's like $7.50 at Walmart. I'm consistently in the bargain bin. You know. Matter of fact, I got another movie. Let's see. The Call of the Wild. I was telling my homegirl about this. Harrison Ford. I think this is an excellent movie. If you've never seen it and if it's on Netflix or Hulu or whatever streaming service you use, check it out. I think it's a fantastic movie. It's something that I have never seen in terms of the genre. Watch it. Let me know what you think. As always, I give movie recommendations based on my taste and hopefully based on what some people might like. Yeah. Let me know if you don't like it. If you do, I'll recommend more. But yeah, Old Henry is the movie that I'll be watching tonight. I had a pre-written closing, but I'm gonna kind of put that on the side.
Now, let me just
Yeah,
let
yeah.
me just drop so I know what you're gonna watch. I'm gonna do your thing too, her. When I get off here, I'm gonna eat me some wings because I got some wings. I'm going even though I've been home all day, but I've been for some reason I was kind of in that bum status mode. Didn't want to do nothing after the
Yeah.
first day, like, and I didn't. Then the show, I was like, oh shit, it's seven something, it's 7 o'clock. So, but I got some movies to watch too, and they like called Danger Seduction. Uh, what else? I got a hit list on Tubi because I get a kick
Okay.
out of the movies, whatever. Danger Seduction. Let's see what else. Deceitful Passion, Deceitful Tendencies. See, I get those because I'm like, shit. A lot of the shit is parallels to stuff that we be talking about. So I got a little list, working list that I'm trying to check off that maybe
Okay.
I'll be able
All
to
right.
watch one or two per day during this break. But also I got 5 credit hours that I got to get to recertify for my certificate. So I plan on, um, especially tomorrow, waking up, working towards that my class, then maybe break that off because I don't want to. I only could talk about mental health and listen to that for so long, and then like, okay, let me watch one of these little Tubi movies that connect the mental health piece to these movies, and then hey, next thing you know, we got a whole broadcast to talk about. That's how this works. Whatever, you got to be a forward thinker. But we'll let Herb give a closing comment. We're gonna get out of here so Herb can watch. What you say you was gonna watch tonight?
Old Henry.
Old Henry. I think the
Henry
old
is
Henry.
spelled Henry. Yeah, I had a pre-written closing, but I'm going to push that aside and say this: women, we understand, especially black women, we understand how sensitive you all are to having being critiqued. It's not lost upon us men. We understand that most of you don't give a damn of what we say, how we think, or how we feel when it comes to the way that you dress. We understand that loud and clear. We've heard it for at least a decade now. The caveat is this: if you don't care what we say, think, or how we feel, then we are not obliged to protect you. Yes, you teach the culture, you birth the kids, but if you're telling us that we have no value, ergo we can't correct you, then why would we put our lives on the line to defend you? Clearly, you have to understand the paradoxical nature of the statement and how you behave. Now that you've been served notice that there are certain things that you do as a group that have certain consequences, ramifications, and repercussions, you have a couple options. One, you can change how you behave, or two, you can perish. Either way, but brothers are showing you that we don't give a damn. The question is, do you want to live with us or do you want to be an adversary? Being an adversary doesn't help you because that means you're going to be out here in the wilderness alone with no one to cover. You've been told. Now, I'm going to add something new that I like that has come about in the discussion realm. Are you going to put a brick in the wall or are you going to remove a brick? Some people probably don't understand what that means. I'll make it plain. The more bricks you put in the wall, the less conversations you have. The more bricks you take out of the wall, the more conversations you will have. And as always, growth and understanding occurs in the gray area. Godspeed. See you next time.
All right, all right. Appreciate that. Okay. And I'm gonna close it out. I seen somebody said the lawnmower man. Yeah, I did see that. That was crazy. I saw that on Tubi. I saw it. I saw it. Somebody else said, "How could you protect me by telling me what to wear?" Uh, see,
I can answer that
let me
question in a
go,
couple of different ways. Go ahead, David. Want me to answer that question?
and I'm gonna let you get a chance to answer.
Okay, go ahead.
But let me say my spiel first. See,
Yeah.
the problem is, and I'm always open to a woman telling me, that don't look right. You should do this. You should do that. I take those suggestions, and I don't, it doesn't move me one way or other, especially if you, and I think Herb was talking about this before, but especially if you trust their opinion. A man can't tell y'all any damn thing that y'all take it personal. Like, I don't think if you're dealing with somebody say absolutely you can't wear this or you can't wear that, and they're not giving ideas. Hey, babe, maybe you should put this on, or it's a lot. They're giving you reasons why you shouldn't wear. One of the most important things is somebody giving you reasons. Like, this don't accentuate. You got the little handles right here, your little gut, baby. Like, you might want to wear a sweat. You want to take those suggestions because they know you. But people, if you're going to be involved with someone, they're going to give you some suggestions. So that's just my take. Herb, you could give your follow up with that as
Nuki, let
well.
me ask you a question then. You said, how can I protect you by me telling you what to wear? If we out, we don't happen to necessarily come together. And you know I'm armed. You wearing your nice little sundress, kind of come up to your upper thigh, and you got some men putting their hands in places that they shouldn't be. You know I'm about that life. You know I carry. Are you gonna come to me and say, hey, these guys are putting their hands on me. Can you help me out? I might say, sure, but you got to do one thing. You got to wear this wrap so they just can't access you easily. Are you going to wear that wrap or are you not going to wear that wrap? See, this is the caveat that women don't want to adhere to. They want protection, but they want the protection on their terms. You don't get to set the protection parameters of somebody that's offering you protection. Even the president listened to his security detail. And by none, the president is one of the most, dare I say, free men on this planet. He has more power and influence than most people in non-corporate worlds. Now you're saying you know how to handle yourself with anything you put on, but when that was not the question you just asked. So you can't play chess with your safety. And see, this is what women keep thinking. You don't get a second. Let me put it to you like this. I've had a woman say this that she was at a nightclub. She's wearing a short skirt. She had no panties on. And a man put his hand between her legs and said, oh, she doesn't have any panties on. How do you come back from that as a woman? A man has publicly violated you in one of the most egregious ways that a man can do a woman. Now, if she's wearing a dress that was longer, maybe to her upper knee, do you think that actually happens? See, this is what we try and get women to understand is you have some men out here who are wayward. They don't adhere to certain things about keeping their hands to themselves. They gonna try you. And then you want protection. When the first protection, no, she wasn't a hoe. She was feeling herself that night. She was feeling sexy, so she wore something that projected her sexiness. This is what Brian talked about with clothing and an expression. The same thing about Erica Badu when she wore that number on stage. That's what she was feeling. We understand the need for women to feel sensuous. That's your nature. But we also understand the balance between sensuousness and protection. If you don't, as a woman, then you always are going to be sensuous, regardless of what it might cost you. This is why you hear the old adage was, well, she dressed like it, so she must have wanted it. Well, no real man actually really thinks that. But you got some men out here who don't think like that, and they say, well, shit, she was dressed like she wanted it, so I gave it to her. And people are outraged when they say it. Why? He's only telling you what a lot of men think. Just a lot of men are not that uncouth enough to say it. So when a man gives you some advice on your attire, he's not trying to make you look homely. He's just looking out for you in a way that you're not cognizant of or you haven't acknowledged. I'm not here to tell you how to dress. The only thing I'm going to say to you is, hey, look, you're not coming out with me dressed like that. I'm not saying you can't go out. You just won't be with me. Now, I'm also the kind of guy that if I don't like what you're wearing, I don't like what you have in your wardrobe, I'm going to go out and buy you something. So now you don't have the excuse of, I don't have anything to wear. But that's me. I'm eliminating
But
excuses.
also,
I'm an excuse eliminator. So
but
I don't
also,
want to hear
Herb, you said when you first get up and you start dealing with them, you do a wardrobe check, right?
and anybody
Go
and
through the list.
I'll put this on my neck right now. Anybody that has dealt with me in that realm will know that I am a man of my word when it comes. You know what, Nuki? The only thing I'm insecure about is did I last long enough for her in bed? That's the only thing I'm insecure about. Other than that, I'm rock solid. I'm like the Prudential Rock. Get a piece of me. Other than that, I'm
Yeah,
secure.
women with that one. Why y'all so insecure? That's what you try to throw out. So when a man comes back and say that, uh, why you so insecure? Y'all can't stand that shit, whatever. But y'all love to flip it, huh? Love to flip it.
Get a piece of the wolf. You'll see how secure I am. And you take that however you want to. On your knees or on your back. Yeah, I said it.
Damn! All right. Let me get my closing comments, whatever. left you some jewels. Nope. At the end of the day, when we talk about dress code, expressing yourself, the way you dress, the way you act, it's all about knowing yourself. You dress based on knowing yourself. I'm probably never going to try to totally subscribe to doing everything someone else has regimented, especially as I got older. Again, I'm not into Twin City trying to look like. So I try to, again, dressing is like an art. It's fashion. Fashion is an art. So you take time to kind of, you think it in your head and you try to do research and you try to say, especially when it's events coming up weeks in advance. Sometimes it's just something you just got to grab from what you already got, and you can do that too with an event coming up. But you still have to have a mental thing about what you're gonna do. And I think a lot of times people are clueless on that. For me, it's an art. It take work. It takes planning. So I think the people, we already know the saying. They say people who what fail to plan to fail. And that's the same thing with dressing. You don't take the time to plan, or you the last minute thing, go in your closet. Just know what it is. We know what the results going to end up. You're going to be miserable the whole time. But people who take the time and they put in that work and they already ready in advance, oh, they coming out smiling. They happy, they content. And if you're a woman and you're doing that and you're a guy, you might hit the jackpot that night because they in their zone. Same thing with men. So the bottom line is my closing talking points. Be who you are. Be comfortable with you are. Establish who you are. Establish your brand. Establish something that you want to stand out and look different. We too robotic in society. It's too many of us looking like. Don't get me wrong. I got caught up. I got a couple of the Jordan ones, got a couple pair of the Dunks, but I try to find something different than what anybody else have with theirs. It's too many. We like fucking robots now. Everybody look the same. You might just have a different hairstyle. You might got a different wig or length of weave, or guys with the cruddies and all that stuff. Everybody wear the same hats, whether some people have original hats from a real hat shop and other ones wearing Amazon ones or whatever the case is. Just a fucking bunch of clones walking around in the environment. Who gonna break that cycle? Got to be different. When you feel different and you act different, you're gonna feel more confidence and have different results. With that said, we out. We can't wait till the Photoshop with Herb dropping on with the wear in the counselor's corner and everything else that's gonna go down this week. I know me, I'm gonna try to knock out this one class all week. I'm about to put in 2-3 hours a day to try to get this one class done, then on to the next. Who's saying something now? Fuck money said, what's up? What's up? Never seen you on here, but we about to sign out. Subscribe, come back through next week, and if you're on Facebook, join the group, the Counselor's Corner, and you'll see where the content comes from. Somebody said like I'm different. I don't know if that's Nuki. Ain't nothing wrong with that. We want to stay different. But a lot of y'all want to be fucking twins with everybody. Not twins, triplets, quadruplet, all of that shit. All right, good people. We out. On to the next one. See y'all next time. Everybody be safe. When is Easter? This Sunday coming up?
I'm not even sure, man.
Every that should be interesting too to see all y'all with y'all Easter outfits. A freaking man with yellow suits on and purple suits and all that stuff. Happy Easter. Happy Resurrection Day to you all. And we'll follow back up with you on Monday. But again, posting stuff, drop the post in the Counselor's Corner. Let's continue these dialogues. Let's create other conversations. That's what's on your mind. Everything ain't gotta be you TikTok videos. Sometimes you just have your own original post on something on your mind. Drop that. We take it all. And with that said, I'm about to be like her. I'm about to eat these wings. Maybe have me another cocktail because I'm on vacay. Well deserved. Good night, people. See you next time. Peace.